As it is written, the kingdom is within us. Come together
Testing 1, 2, 3.
and discuss the issues within the kingdom. Speak your peace. Speak the truth. For the kingdom is at hand. Kingdom Conversations.
Peace and blessings, peace and blessings, peace and blessings to the whole house, to the most treated people ever to walk the earth. Bible says what was done to you has never been done unto the whole earth, but yet he chose you. And who am I talking about? Who's the most mistreated people ever to walk the earth, and yet they still stand for something this hour? In 2023 or whatever year it is. Who is that? Who might that people be? Do you know? I know. This is the one that the Father surnamed, the one that he called the apple of his eye, and that's the kingdom of the Israelites. Do you believe that you're the kingdom? I'm asking a question before we even get into the show, before I even thank the Father. Do you believe that you're the kingdom? If you really truly believe that book, you would be doing something about it. You truly believe that book, you would be moving and doing the Father's will according to your life, not Brother Cleo's life, not Christine Laster's life, not Brother Banya, not Brother Najee, nor Elisha. You'd be doing the will that the Father gave you to move and do this hour. Father, we thank you for this time. People have been running around talking about the end times, Father. We're in the end times, the end times this, the end times that, the rapture this, the prophecy that. Okay. Somewhere in the book say, tarry until I come. So which one of y'all is guilty of tarrying then? Tarrying means you're doing something before he gets here. Who's doing that this hour? They've been talking about the end of the world, Father, but they don't even know what that even means. It's a pity and a shame you got people running around talking about the end of the world, and according to the Bible and according to prophecy, what does that mean? Father, give my people wisdom to be able to understand the time that they're in and to understand who they are this hour so that they can move accordingly, not according to some make-believe religion. So, Father, put in their mind to put down everything that belongs to that religion and renew their mind according to what you said in the book. Renew their mind so that they can what? Be a light to the earth, to their people first. Books say to the Jew first and to the Gentile second. To the Israelite that know they Israelite first, and to the Israelite that believe they a Gentile second. Yeah, that's how that go. That's how that works. Father, thank you. Thank you for sending first fruits, Mashiach, the one and only, the only begotten, the first, the let there be light, the living word, the only word. You have a religion try to tell you that the word is done away with. Well, how can you follow that man if he was done away with then? Explain that one to me. How can you say he's done away with? If you say the Old Testament, you don't go to buy the Old Testament, then you don't go by Mashiach because he is the Old Testament. I don't care what religion you can name or you call. You could be an Israelite. You playing around, you talk about it wasn't about him. Okay, so then where your sacrifice at? Then? For all the heinous acts you, your grandfather, your great grandpappy, your great grandmammy, your great grandma have done up to this point, where's your sacrifice then? Where's the bullock? Where's the ox? Show me them turtle doves that you did for the wickedness that you did last week. Where they at? Go get them. Thank you, Father. Sending Mashiach. Thank you, Father, for also sending the Ruach, so that we may be able to understand and discern this hour where we are at, who our enemies are, and how we should be operating. So crying shame if you don't know that you're in a war and yet you've been getting blown away every chance you get. But I'm not just talking about getting blown away in the street. You go to try to operate a business, do a business, you get blown away, shut you down. Okay? You try to do good by your neighborhood, it gets shut down. You try to do good by doing your own farming on your own land, it gets shut down. And I thank the Father that He's got balanced weights. Justice is Him, not this wicked system called democracy. There's no justice in no foolishness called no democracy. Ain't no justice in truth in no foolishness called the American Western construct, wicked bastardized system. Now I'm getting my yelling out now because I'm not going to be able to yell later because my sister Christine Laster going to take over the whole show. So thank you, Father. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Mashiach. Greetings, family. How you guys doing? It's been a minute since I've talked to you, a whole week, right? Like I always tell y'all, the weeks go by so fast. We have no idea how fast they're going. Greetings, sisters. Christina, how you doing, sis? What's going on?
I am good. Peace and blessings to everyone. I'm just glad to be here and be able to share my lamentation on this day. So I really am grateful, and I know that you all have been praying for me, and with me, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
I want y'all to know. I want to know if you all been keeping up with the sister's travels, because the sister was in New York recently, and she was also, I believe, in SAC.
Yes.
So if you guys, I'm gonna put the sister's website up before I even greet the fam. Put the sister's website up because I want everybody, and again, I'm imploring everybody that's associated with whomever you're associated with to get this sister on their channel. Why do you say that, brother? See, because the sister is doing a good work. That it's not just for Israelites. It's for anybody that cares about what the book says about the fatherless, about our children being in this damnable system. So here's the sister's website. We're going to put it on scroll too. It's going to be scrolling off and on. But here's the sister's website. And for those of you who's not subscribed to her YouTube channel, I recommend that you go and subscribe to her channel. I also recommend that you go to her site. And I also recommend if you could pledge your time or any resources that you have, that you do that as well. Now, y'all know it's not mandatory, but it's our responsibility. It's all of our responsibility, and the sister's got a true movement going on. So it's incumbent upon all of us to give the two things that we have. We only have two things on this earth, really, one thing, but two things, really. The first one is time. Okay, so some of us should be able to commit our time to this because it impacts the nation of Israel. Some of us should be able to, if you can't do your time, you should be able to do your time and your financial resources. There should be no reason why the sister is somewhere in the book say pressing, shaking down, overflowing. We didn't have no problem with tithing to that wicked bastardized construct. We had no problem giving 10% of our offerings, winnings, and earnings to somebody so that they could buy a dumbass private jet. A private jet that you would never get to ride in, and yet you donated to. Well, that makes sense too. That makes sense to no one on the earth. Go ahead, sis. If you got something to say, go ahead and rock that.
I do. I want to mention my travels because some people that may be viewing this might have a notion that the so-called civil rights leaders in the community are going to come in and save the children and save the day in Congress. That's not happening. Okay. I was, in New York for a civil rights conference. Of course, they gave me an award and all of that fancy stuff that they do that I call shucking and jiving. I got to be real with you guys. Nobody is coming to save us. Okay. We have to stand up in this moment and fight for our children and trust and believe all of hell is coming after them. And so I'm coming back with that energy because I just got back at 3 a.m. this morning from New York in disappointment with the realization once again that it's just us.
Here's what we gonna do, sis. I'm gonna greet the family, and we're gonna start off right there. And we also gonna go a little bit into, if you don't mind, a
No, I
little
don't.
bit of why you have the fire that you have. Because
Yes.
I think that the family should hear who they dealing with, right? And so I think that's important. Fam, we're not dealing with somebody that's a coon or a lapdog for the heathen. We're not dealing, we dealing with a real one right here. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna greet the family, then we're gonna rock, we're gonna pick up what happened in your travels. I want to hear about Sacramento, and I
Yeah.
also want to hear about New York too. So we're gonna take our time today. We're not rushing through nothing. If we go over 3 hours, if we go over 8 hours, we're not rushing through nothing. We're gonna take our time. So fam, how you guys doing? Y'all know y'all could have been anywhere. I'm not telling you where you could have been because you already know where you could have been, but I appreciate you joining us. And I'm going to go ahead and greet the fam. But before I greet the fam, you know what you need to do. You need to greet everybody that come into this chat room. Everybody that come into the chat needs to be greeted. And when you come into the chat room, you greet your family, because this is a family show and this is what we're about here. We're not about talking about, okay, if you in the front pew, you get a front seat. JPM get a front seat because he donated 30%. Meanwhile, you only donated $10. We're not going to acknowledge you. No, we don't play that. We acknowledge all our brothers and sisters. JPM off the top. Hey, brother, good to see you. Hope all is well. Proverbs 17:6. Children's children are the crown of old men. That's right. That means you're a grandfather. Your children done had children, and you get to spoil the grandchildren. I know what that's about. And the glory of children are their fathers. So it's supposed to be a reciprocal thing, where the children are our crown. They are jewels. They are supposed to be something that we can brag about, that we say, oh yeah, my child right there is doing this and he doing this for the nation of Israel. My child over there is doing that for the nation of Israel. Whether we can brag on them or not, or my child is doing good in their life and in their profession that they chose, they making me proud. That becomes the glory right there when your children are doing well. So that's a blessing. Thank you, JPM. And I apologize to my sis because I didn't send her the link, so that's on me. Ticey Rowland, Shalom, peace and blessings, brother. Hope you're well. Hope the Father's been keeping you. And Smile, peace and blessings, sis. Hope you are well. My good sister Sharon O, peace and blessings to you. Hope all is well. Let me stop sharing the screen for a moment. Let's see here. JPM, we got you. Hope y'all shaloming each other. My good sister Linda Riggs, shalom, sister. Peace and blessings. Hope all is well. Sharon O, peace and blessings to you. Hope you are well and the Father's been keeping you. Sarah Pumpkin, shalom, sis. Peace and blessings to you. Hope all is well. Soulfully sowing seeds, shalom, sis. Peace and blessings to you. Hope you're well and the Father's been keeping you. Pamela Anthony, peace and blessings, sister. Hope all is well. Peace and blessings to you, my good brother Najee. Najee, the link is in the chat. And if you want to jump on and lend your insight to the conversation, you already know what it is. Go ahead and join in. It's good seeing you, brother. Hope you are well. My good sister, Wise Society, shalom again to you, sis. Peace and blessings to you. Hope you are well and that the Father's been keeping you. Anonymous, shalom, peace and blessings. Hope all is well. Pamya Israel, tell it, brother. See, Oxy is not. He's an old head that will never pull a punch, and he gonna tell you straight exactly how it is. No chaser. That's what he is, because it's our duty to tell our family the truth. It's our duty to tell them that we was lobotomized and hypnotized by that fake religion. The religion ain't even controlled by us, and we running up behind it, talking about this is the word of the Father. The Father's word is the Father's word. It's in the book. It ain't got nothing to do with religion. Point blank, period. Yaqib, Micah Hala, Micah Allah, peace and blessings, brother. Hope you are well. LNL, shalom, sis. Peace and blessings to you. Hope all is well. My good brother Yash. Hey, Yash, how you doing, bro? Hope all is well. Hope the Father's been keeping you. You got the link, man. If you want to jump on, you know what it is. You go ahead and jump on, man. Lend your eyes and your voice to this conversation. My good brother Sean. Hope all is well. Peace and blessings to you. Before I keep going, I want to say peace and blessings to all my other brothers, my brother Najid, I shot him out already. My good brother Banya, he's somewhere working on something. Banya's always working on something. My good brother Elisha, he's always working on something in the background. My good brother Yash, my brother Ibri, y'all go to his channel and listen to him because he always has good information. And my good brother Kadar Scales, he always has great information too. Y'all go check that brother out. Those are all my brothers, and I love my brothers. Point blank, period. No demons, y'all can't get in between us. We Israelite 3.0. Most Israelites is Israelite 0.5. We Israelite 3.0. We're not letting nothing separate the family. That's foolishness. Phantom Warrior, shalom, peace and blessings to you. Hope all is well. Mr. The Original School, peace and blessings, brother. It's always good to see you. Greetings, salt of the. I like reading. I like reading when you post. I always read your post. Greetings to Salt of the Earth Productions and True Israel on the chat. True, there's only one True Israel. There's only one. Only one. Well, brother, see how you know who True Israel is. Well, I go to one of my favorite books in the Bible, Deuteronomy 28. That's right. The Deuteronomy 28 will outline for you. If you look at Deuteronomy 28, I tell you all the time, y'all should know it by heart. Y'all be like, oh, brother, see, will you please stop it? Deuteronomy 28, 15 through 68, gonna tell you who the Israelites are on the earth. Books say somewhere it will be for a sign and a wonder and upon thy seed forever. Not only will you be able to track it and document it, contrary to what they're trying to hide from, but it'll be in those people's DNA. If it's upon your seed forever, it's in your DNA. What happened to you? It's in the Israelites' DNA, and I don't even prescribe to no DNA, but it's in your DNA who you are. Carolyn Gallon, peace and blessings to you. Shalom, hope all is well. Hopefully I got everybody. Looks like I got everybody. LNL, I believe I got you. Let's see. Nilanti, shalom, brother. Peace and blessings to you. Hope all is well. Helen Folarami, peace and blessings, sis. Hope all is well. Lady J, love and kindness. Peace and blessings to you. Hope all is well. Roland Duza, peace and blessings to you, brother. Hope all is well. Elisha, peace and blessings to you, famo. Hope you well. Hope the Father's been keeping you. Ya'e Qua 12 Yehuda, all praise to the Most High Yahweh Todah, and blessing to his son Yahusha HaMashiach. All praises. That's right. So, shalom and blessings to all. That's right. That's right. That's right. Y'all know we've been shadow banned over here, right? They've been jiggling wires and playing all kind of. They've been doing a number on our site. We look at the analytics. Amar Yashar, peace and blessings, brother. Hope all is well. My good brother Charles Burr, hey, peace and blessings, brother. Hope all is well. Unapologetically real. Peace and blessings to you. Hope all is well. So we done got through everybody. And if you come in and you're hearing the show, you come in, what I'll do is I'll shalom you as I see you coming in. So what we're going to do is we're going to get to the sister, and I want the sister to start from. We're going to start from either, and I'm going to let you pick where we start, because I do want to go into the travels of Sacramento, and I do want to go into the travels of New York City. And for those of you who've been following the sister's YouTube channel, hopefully you have been, go ahead and go and click on the channel, and then you can see the different things. And the sister comments in the community post quite a bit. So if you want to see what the sister's working on currently, you could go to her YouTube channel, and then you can see some of the current events that she has going on. sis, before we go in, I'm gonna quickly throw that up if that's okay.
Yes, that's
Because
fine.
I want to make sure that we're giving you justice as far as being able to talk about everything that you're involved in, and then I'm gonna let you take over, and I'm gonna shut my mouth, and prayerfully I don't interrupt you too much. But I'm gonna share the sister's YouTube channel because the sister was keeping us up to date. If you go to her community post, the sister was keeping us up to date with her travels and with what was going on. Let me turn that comment off right quick. Hold on a second. Turn that off. Okay, so the sister, if you go to her community channel, and I'm gonna put her community link in the page. This is to her YouTube channel, and so y'all can go. All of y'all should already be subscribed to her channel. I shouldn't tell y'all how to go subscribe to her channel, but the sister's putting in work. And so these are some of her latest community posts. Sister's been putting in work. I believe this is from the shot from New York.
Yes.
And these are shots from New York. I believe you got some good quotes in here. So fam, y'all need to go and subscribe and then check out the channel. Read for yourself that you're dealing with a real one and you're not dealing with a Boule, Bob, or Betty. And I'm gonna leave that there because
No.
I'm not trying to ruin the punchline. Not trying
Right.
to ruin the punchline. So let me stop talking. Let me shut my mouth. And we'll go ahead and get into it. So sis, you tell me which way we should go, because there's two things that we want to tackle. Because I do want to get into your background a little bit, but I do want to talk about the travels in Sacramento and New York. So you tell me the direction that the Father wants you to go, and that's the way we're gonna rock.
So let's talk about the picture of me and my son that everybody got to see. That's my only son. I have 3 daughters. Again, I like to reiterate, I have 4 grandchildren, and I loved all of them, their entire being. And so when I came back, the first face that I saw and that was waiting for me was my son, and he stayed up till 3 o'clock almost in the morning. Mommy, I missed you, and I was waiting up for you so I could let you in and greet you. And so I was so glad to be greeted with that love and a genuine, just childlike innocence and respect. And so, as you can see right there, that's me and my son Daniel, right when I got in, full of love, full of hugs and kisses. And it's just amazing what God has put into him. And so I appreciate starting there with the joy. When I went to Sacramento, let's go there. So I was in Sacramento because we're in the state of California, and in the state of California, Black children are being miserably and intentionally failed by the education system. And so what you see is the outcomes and the data that the state has to share, because that's part of the transparency rules, right? It's all of this is school system is publicly funded off of tax dollars, meaning me and you who are in the state of California are paying for them to fail our Black kids. Okay. I want people to hear that, which I call state-sponsored racism. Okay. And so 85% of Black children in the state of California, doesn't matter your income level, neighborhood, school district, whatever it looks like across this state, cannot do math at grade level. 85%, K to 12. Okay. 70% can't read or write at grade level. 70%. And that data is the same across this nation. And that data is reported in the national assessments, the national report card that I shared with you all last time. And we can revisit that just so you can have understanding. And so when I see that, I see a system of controlled deprivation, because they want to deprive our children of any kind of human dignity, any kind of respect, their desires, access, opportunity, you name it. That is what the education system functions to do when it comes to Black children. And you see it in the outcomes that are produced, because what we know and what you can research in scientific medical documentation is that Black children, when they are born, they're advanced. Okay. Sometimes grandma say, "Oh, that baby been here before." No, our children are really advanced when they come out from the womb. Okay. They're designed and created and fashioned by Yahweh Elohim that way. Okay. They're able to hold their heads up, sit up earlier than other children. And they've measured this across all other, what they call racial categories. Okay. And they find that our children are more advanced. They're bigger. Okay. They're bigger in size, and their mobility, like fine motor skills and all of those things, are intact. A lot of this is reported in the athletic medical journals, right? Is advanced and intact by the age of 2. Okay. Now something shifts at 2 years old. Something shifts. And I know exactly what that shift is, because what happens is we start putting our children in child cares and preschools and all of these things that the system prescribes as the appropriate thing to do with children. And at that point is when they start to deprive them in a way that they watch other people have their needs met. Other people have their emotional, physiological, educational needs met, yet they're deprived, and they have to sit back and watch that. And it starts to stunt their growth. It starts to mentally and physically hinder them, because they've already researched that our children are advanced. And if you give them the appropriate environment by which they can thrive in, they know that they're going to out excel everybody.
May I ask a question, sis? May I ask a question from a medical perspective? Because I don't know. Okay, so do you believe that the shots that they give and how they treat our infants, knowing this information, is purposely done so that they can damage their DNA when they're giving them these all? Okay.
Yes. Because this has been well documented, and you can look at the National Medical Institute on Health. It's there. You just got to know how to search for this stuff. You can look at like I said, there's a lot in the kinesiology libraries, right? About the fine motor coordination and skills that our children have in early stages of life. Right? Being able to crawl before other children, being able to walk, being able to articulate through language development. Okay. And so what you see is an outright attack on the very DNA. That's why they don't even like our kids' hair in a natural sense, right? The very thing that is produced from their hair follicle based on their DNA. Okay. And so all of these attacks are intentional, and it's based on controlled deprivation. Okay. And that's what they do. And so I need people to understand that when you're taking your child to that early childhood education center, this information is known. This information is widely accessible. This information is something that the American Academy of Pediatrics has written policy statements about. Okay. This is not a secret. And so you do see just the attack with bad water, bad food, bad medical practices, all of those things that we know are the wicked intention of the beast system to hinder and stifle our children. And it's just the spirit of Pharaoh. I mean, that's what it is. You remember the midwife said the Hebrew women are not like us. They deliver quickly, right? And there were edicts that were created that Pharaoh tried to create to stop that, right? And it ultimately leads to, well, let's just kill them, let's murder them. And that's the thought that your child is being met with by the beast system. Let's steal their joy, their hope, their spirit, their physical well-being. Okay, let's try to do everything that we can to annihilate them. And make no mistake, these are our enemies. They're not our friends.
I apologize for jumping in before
No,
you
you're
said
okay.
something.
Please do.
Please forgive me, sis, and please forgive me, Chad. You guys know sometimes I get impetuous that way.
No,
What I
you're
want
okay.
to say is do we realize when we say second Exodus, do we realize what we're in?
Mm.
I don't believe Israel truly believes who we are, number one. And I can say that because Israel only want to see train wrecks. Israel only want to support who shot John, and they don't want to get off their rump and really do nothing. I'm not mad at nobody. I'm just keeping it a buck right now. That's what Israel, and I'm not talking about y'all in the chat. Israel want to sit up and just watch the latest YouTube argument, watch the latest YouTube debate. You want to watch YouTube instead of you'll watch 20 Israelite. I say this, I'm gonna stop talking about this. Well, I'm gonna say this. Stop watching YouTube. Get up off your rump and do something.
So I want to make an appeal to moms and grandmas in the chat. Okay. And particularly for this reason, we've all seen pictures of our great grandmothers and the like for hundreds of years breastfeeding white babies. Okay. Taking care of white babies from birth to however old they were. And we knew that was a function of some of the Negroes that were in the house. Okay. They took care of the white babies, fed them at their breasts. All right. How then, if we took care of white babies for 400 years or plus, are now they the credible source of information about our children? They couldn't take care of their own. Okay. So why is it so easy to trust these people with our children's lives when they couldn't be trusted with their own? And then to know that we did that for hundreds of years and they still have no compassion, no thought about our children. And as a matter of fact, in that day, our children would be competition to their babies getting milk. Okay. To their babies getting the nutrients that they wanted us to give them out of our bodies. Okay. I want you guys to just think about it. I'm telling the truth here. Okay. And now they become suddenly the moral standard for motherhood, the moral standard for educating children. How? When did they arrive at that place? What evidence do they even have to show that they can do it? And we just
I have a question. What do they have to show for being the moral right of anything on the earth? They control the book, the narrative. Well, they used to control the narrative of the book. They anything that they used to do on the earth was okay by everybody because everybody looked to them to be God because of stained glass. Stained glass got everybody's mind convinced that those people are God, that they moral and that they're righteousness, and they're the most depraved people on the earth.
Right.
But here's the point. Here's the point that you made, and I want to get back to this point. We are at war, and most of us don't even know that we're in a war. We're in a war where the one side been beating your head in for the last 400 years, and you just not waking up and looking out and saying, oh, we're in a war. Shalom, 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 Cheryl Wood. Peace and blessings to you. Shalom to E.T. Hey, bro, how you doing? Peace and blessings to you. Omaya Yakita, shalom, sis. Peace and blessings. Hit me up via email because I need to know, and I'll leave it at that. Hope all is well. So go ahead, sis. I'm sorry.
So in this battle with the state of California, of course, we're not going to just allow for them to intentionally and willfully deprive our children in a controlled and manipulative way that they do, in a racist, beast system way that they do. And make no mistake, people talk about the left and the right. I don't care about that. Right. You have California, which would be considered a blue state, progressive and liberal, whatever you want to call it, with 55 electoral college votes. And all they do is liberally oppress us and progressively lie. Okay. So let's just be clear about that. And so we're in meetings, we meaning a coalition of people that are advocating hard for Black children in this state, demanding in this moment when the state of California is moving from the 5th to the 4th largest GDP in the world, that they make and prove an investment in our children because what they've done is nefarious and criminal. And you know what? We advocated through the normal processes and procedures, the B system codes, right? Go through the assembly, go through the Senate. And the bill that we were fighting for to protect Black children got to the governor's office and he said, I'm not signing it. Too bad. Now, it passed through the normal processes and protocols that everyone else submits bills in. Okay. And he said that he was concerned about other people suing the state of California for their equal protections. Well, that's offensive because the last time I thought the system claims that the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment were part of Reconstruction amendments and we're supposed to protect Black folks. Well, I don't feel like your argument that we need to make sure all the white people and all the other people of so-called color are protected. And we don't want them coming out swinging against the state of California for California doing something that is particularly designed to help meet the need of Black children. You're scared to go to court now. You weren't scared to go to court over LGBTQ rights. You weren't scared to go to court when you openly opened the state as an abortion sanctuary. Okay. He wasn't scared about that. But suddenly the governor doesn't want to upset the public about our ask for them to intentionally protect and educate Black children. So we brought 2,000 plus Black children to march around the Capitol and make their grievances known and petition the state of California to do right now, not yesterday, like today. Okay. And we are waiting to hear back from the state of California about what their decision is going to be, or we're just going to keep ramping it up. Okay. Now, some of those students do go to schools that are predominantly Black because there are Black charter school leaders that opened and designed those schools particularly for that purpose. But that's not the norm throughout the state. Okay, there are pockets here and there where, there are some school leaders that have come in and done that thing, but even that's under attack and very frequently because those students are outperforming the other students. And some of those schools are the top performing in the state. Okay. So that just lays the foundation of why we were there, why we brought 2,000 plus Black children and families from across the state of California to push back on what was being said. Basically, the governor was saying we can't say Black. Well, we're going to say Black today. Okay, because you're not going to just erase and annihilate our very presence and then say what we cannot claim as far as our identity and then protect everyone else. And I have a question about where are all the BIPOC people and people of color when we're fighting for Black children and families, because I don't see them.
Man, and see, that's one of the problems. You about to get me riled up. That's one of the problems that I have with Negroes, because nobody ever comes to your rescue, but then they always get to eat off your plate. Meanwhile, when you out there in the front lines, nobody's with you. Where's the so-called brown people? Where's the so-called Hispanics, the Asians, the so-called Native Americans? Where are any of these people when we on the firing lines? They never support us, but then the programs will be made for them and not us.
Right. And so in this moment, we're saying enough of that. And none of them are showing up. So you guys need to be very clear about who is opposing and oppressing you on all sides, right? And that's just one aspect of this, okay? That's just one aspect of this, because as soon as we say we're going to say Black children, we're not going to stop saying that. We're going to advocate for them, show up for them, because they're asking to be seen and to be heard. The students were able to speak and talk about their experiences, and they're saying we want to be seen and we want to be heard. So we let them know that we see you and we hear you and we're not going to back down. And so this so-called, minority thing and this BIPOC thing and this people of color thing are all fancy sounding terminologies to really erase Black. And then when we say, well, why aren't these groups that are minorities, BIPOC and people of color groups coming to show up in this moment for Black children? Well, we have the answer to that. We are on our own. It's just us. Okay.
Okay, let
And
me
I
ask you
just,
a question. Let me ask this
mm-hmm.
question. I must interrupt you. I'm sorry. I
No,
apologize.
you're okay.
But
Please
but
do.
here's the thing. If we all by ourselves, why we always be the first one talking about a Black and brown coalition? Every time I see somebody on the news or when I hear that, that makes me want to just jump out the window, screaming and hollering. I don't even care if I bust the glass out. I'm not talking about stained glass, but it just makes me want to jump out the window. Why? Because there's nobody speaking for us but us. So why do we have to include the whole damn melting pot? Forget about the melting pot. Let's just focus on Israelites right now. That's why I jump out the window for somebody trying to save the heathen. It's the same thing. You go try to save the heathen, but your brother and sister's in peril over here. But then you concerned about saving the heathen. Why don't you fix yourself first? Why don't you fix your brother first? And then after your brother's whole and we whole as a nation and we rocking out doing the good, then you could turn around and say, oh yeah, look at the light shine. Look at the light shining as a nation. Oh yeah, we can help y'all out. We can help what ills y'all. Y'all need to do A, B, C, X, Y, Z. No, you got Negroes that will fight us to the day, talk about we going to hell because we sending a heathen to hell because we discouraging them from keeping book when they never kept the book in the first place. I'm sorry, sis, for going on a rant. That's the last time I'm gonna do that. Go ahead.
And it's okay. And I want to bring this back around to scripture. So if you could bring up Lamentations 4, I want to talk about this from that perspective. Because the thing about it is that we have to understand internally what this is before we can go out and battle externally to set people free. Right. We have to be able to understand what we're advocating for, what we're demanding. And make no mistake, they will try to get you to say everything else, Black and brown, minority. That's what they'll do. Right. And everybody can step up for their nation and fight for their nation and do whatever it is and make their demands until we start to say Black. And now everything stops. Whoa, you can't do that here. Can't do that in the state of California? You mean to tell me that you can't do that? And so that's why we were in Sacramento. And so I want to talk about New York right after I talk about this. But I said Lamentations 4 and 17 makes it very clear. As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us. Okay. So they can't save us even if we demand and do all these things. Now, am I saying don't make a demand? No, the justice is the demand, right? This is what we are saying. But we also need to know that this is why our eyes keep failing, right? We're watching for them, and they're not a moral compass. They're not an ethical compass. They don't even have the authority to do right by us. And so it is, like Anonymous said, between us and the Most High. It is. And yes, he is with us, but we have to know that, right? And it starts with us knowing Lamentations 4:17. And so when I said I have a lamentation today, that's what I mean. And then, you see even the progressive thing after that, they hunt our steps, that we cannot go on our streets. Our end is near. Our days are fulfilled, for our end is come, right? And I just, want you guys to really just think about that when you're seeking out other people and you're seeking out, where is this person and where is that person? The finger is really pointed back at you. It's us. And we have to lean on the Most High to be able to come and save us. And our cry is, let my people go. Our cry is, let us go. Because it's not going to happen within their construct. So I'll let you, Brother C, chime in on that.
Did everybody? You keep saying something, And and what was pressed upon me today was I don't know that people really believe that we are the apple of Mashiach's eye. I don't really believe the Israelites, and I'm talking about Israelites in general. And I'm not talking about no black Hebrew Israelites. And I'm gonna say shalom to you,
Right.
bro. I'm gonna say shalom to you, Ezra ben Levi, but there's no Jewish people in here, bro. I must correct you on that. There's no Jewish people in here. We are Israelites. Jewish is something that's fake and make believe and phony. We just Israelites, bro. We not Jewish. We not from the Make a Wish Foundation where you wish upon a falling star and you wish you was that. You cut our blood. It's the same blood that David had in him. Same blood Ezekiel had in him. Joseph. Same blood Mashiach had in him. Shalom, Nature's Graffiti. Peace and blessings, sis. Hope all is well. So I want to get back to what you keep saying because I don't believe that Israel believe. This is where I'm at right now. I don't believe. When y'all say, "Oh, we the people of the book," "Oh, we Israel," I don't believe y'all. I do not believe you. Why? And here's why I don't believe you. Because you're not getting off your rump and doing that. I believe, sis. If Christina Laster tells me that, Lamentations says she give me the precepts, I'm a believer because you know why? I could go to her website and see her work.
Yeah,
go ahead, sis. Go ahead.
And remember, my first appeal was that, Abraham and Lot didn't always have the best relationship, but when Abraham found out that Lot got taken, he got 318 of his trained brethren from his household, from his family, from the nation, and went and got Lot, the children, and everything else, and took it out of there. Okay. Those kings had to come and retrieve their stuff. Okay. And that's the mentality that we have. But my question was, do we have 318 people to come in here and get our kids out? Because they're in the middle of a war zone. They're in the middle of a battle. They're being used as body shields. Collateral damage is happening all around, and it's in our face. And then also exploited for labor, extracted from their households through Department of Children's Services, Child Protective Services, being studied and watched and done all kind of foul stuff to in juvenile justice systems that claim justice but aren't just. And we're the 318 of our trained brethren to go get the children back.
That's a good question. Where the 318 at? I bet you could find probably maybe 2 or 3, and you probably ran across them. You count yourself as one. And then where the brothers at that get down with you. And there's 2 things. Where the brothers that get down with you, but then you have to separate, okay, who's boule, who's not boule.
Right.
Who's really down and who's down for just the political part of it.
Right.
Who really go ahead, sis. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Which leads me to the New York trip. Okay. So okay. For years have tried to fight this battle from within civil rights organizations. I need you guys to hear me on this because sometimes people see my stuff and they're like, well, she's connected to the boule and this. No, I have tried to utilize the resources and it doesn't work. You can fight up into a point. And so initially, when I was fighting this fight, I thought, oh, okay, let me go NAACP, right? Because they advertise all this stuff. Okay. I got kicked out of there, y'all. I need you to hear that. I'm talking excommunicated to where it was voted that I can never, ever, ever in this lifetime become an NAACP member again. And I was the education chair over there.
Stop right there, sis. Here's what I want to say. So the NAACP, that's for black people, but they always include black and brown and doing stuff for everybody else and politicking for everybody else. They block a sister. Are you serious about that? Or are you just making that up?
No, I got, and you could bring the article up that I shared with you, and I'm going to show you guys exactly why I got excommunicated by Derek Johnson, the current NAACP president. who told me that they were going to make a vote that I would never be able to be a member of the organization or hold any titles ever again. Okay. All of my titles that I did have at the time that I'm fighting for Black children got revoked, which was fine because I ultimately conceded them and said, you guys can have it. Goodbye. But when I came out with this article in The Root, okay, in 2020, now we're in 2023. I'm still saying the same thing. In 2020, we must demand a Black agenda education wise, right? And what they told me is that this is a minority serving organization and you can take that Black power stuff somewhere else. You want to be a Black Panther or whatever you want to be, going over there and do that, but you cannot do that here.
I'm going to interrupt you right now. Fam, are y'all hearing this? Put a 7 up if you are hearing what the sister, I'm not going to let the sister continue on until I see some 7s up in here. Because I don't believe y'all hearing what I'm saying. I rail all the time on Boule, Bob, and Betty's. Every chance I get, y'all know I created that term. Boule, Bob, and Betty's. If you see anybody using it, yeah, Brother C came with that. But I need to see some 7s up in here. First of all, I believe that y'all Israelites, but I don't believe that y'all believe that y'all Israel. I don't believe you. You telling me you're Israelite, I do not believe you. Are y'all hearing what this sister's saying about the boule right now? And what I mean the boule, I mean the talented tent. I mean your sororities and your fraternities. I mean everybody that you see popular when you turn on your TV set. Who you looking at? Why you looking at them? Why was they propped up? How come they in front and you don't have sisters like Christine in front? Y'all better put them 7s up. Everybody in here, the ones that's listening, sneak listening, the ones that just got banned. Well, you just got banned. You can't put a 7 up, but that's a different conversation. I need to see 7s before I let the sister continue. I want to make sure that y'all is hearing what she's saying. We anti-boule for a reason. You beholden to what king? They say they beholden to a king. What king you beholden to then? It's not King David. It's not Solomon. It's not Mashiach. It's not the Father. Who is it? Is it President Bush? Or maybe it's who's that guy that ran the CIA? Maybe it's Herbert, maybe it's Hoover. Maybe it's Harry S. Truman. Maybe it's Bill Clinton. Maybe it's Joe Biden. Because you want me to be a Democrat voter and I don't give a damn about Democrat or Republican. Maybe it's one of them idiots. But you're not beholden to the king of the book. So therefore, you invalid. You are errors. Go ahead, sis. They didn't put some 7s up. Go ahead.
So, and I was going out and, in a year's time, I made a lot of waves just going into schools, checking on our children. And when I was in the NAACP, I finally ultimately got told I can't do that because we're not supposed to oppose the system. We're supposed to collaborate with the system. I said, how am I supposed to collaborate with the enemy of our children? There's no collaboration. There's no concessions to be made. The only demand is for justice. And so I found out during that time and ultimately getting kicked out because of the quote unquote Black agenda that I'm on and not the minority agenda, that wasn't the right entity to fight for our children. And all these millions of dollars are questionable. They just recently got $50 million. People donate to them all the time. Every time there's a situation in America, kind of like, what happened with George Floyd, they get millions of dollars and none of it goes. I really can't say where it goes, right? But I know it's not going to free our children from this oppression that they sit in, from this intentional and willful controlled deprivation that's happening to them, from the attack on their lives. Okay. And so I decided to leave that alone. Went to work for a policy think tank, did some stuff policy and legislation wise there for a few years, and then was approached by the National Action Network to be their education director. Okay. So have done that for a while up until this New York trip where I said, enough of this madness. I can't waste any more energy into trying to get these organizations to see the great need in this hour for our children, only to just be told, well, we'll think about that, right? No, who's going to protect the children? You guys have the ear of the so-called legislators and the so-called people that are making the rules, and you can get them to do whatever you want. And when it's around voting rights, you got Kamala Harris showing up and all this other stuff. But you mean to tell me we can't protect Black children and have that discussion? So that's why I sound, upset a little bit about it, because I just got back from that literally hours ago. But I got to tell you how the Most High works. I'm at this conference and I'm watching all these people who are running after, who they think are superstars, right? None of them are even having the dialogue or discussion about how we're going to protect our children and what we're going to set aside for our children in this moment where they need safety. Right, because that's not a part of any political agenda, and Black children don't have a vote, and they could care less about them getting attacked every day at school, unless it's about some kind of gun situation, and then they can make that into a whole political agenda. Right, that's the way that I see it. These are my opinions from being on the inside, and from having to not only fight our obvious enemy, but being inside and having to fight who looks just like us, like to get them to understand this is important. But I ultimately, in this moment that I was at this conference, decided I'm done with this. I'm not fighting internally anymore. I'm not begging anybody for any resources and support. They've shown their side, their hand in this whole thing. You want to, as an organization, continue to try to stifle my movement, continue to try to control my movement, because I'm asking for them to demand that either people do just or let our children go. And that's not what is a priority to them. So I'm sitting there praying. And this is why I said, I know that you guys were praying for me. I'm sitting there praying, Father, please just, you order the steps of the righteous. And I believe that in this moment, you'll order my steps. And I just want to go home. I just want to go home. And I walk away from the area where I was praying, and I walk into PLO Lumumba. He wasn't at the conference. He was just sitting there with his staff. Now, if you guys don't know who that is the director of the Nairobi, Kenya Law School, who also was the Anti-Corruption Commission director in Kenya. And that's where you saw the picture and the update. And I had joy in my heart just because I said, finally, I see somebody that is our people sitting here and really understands dynamically what is going on with the, he calls the diaspora, right? With us that are dispersed and scattered, right? And out of all people, for me to run into in New York, that is a very crowded place, I run into Lumumba. Well, that wasn't by accident, okay? And so I began to conversate with him. And I walked away like, thanks to the Most High that he at least put some joy in my heart, because I just was so disappointed in the so-called civil rights organizations, in the so-called civil rights leaders, in the people that have, the resources, and I'm sitting here and I do this. When parents call me, I help them. Right? I help them. They don't have a dollar to their name. Some of them, like I said, most of them are single mothers and fathers, and they're just looking for anybody that will help set them free from the oppression, from the battle, from the attack on their children. And it gets so bad, that they're reaching out every single space, every single opportunity for help. And when I get the call, I help them. And people get tired of me doing that because it doesn't make them money.
So it's all about, at the end of the day, it's about a couple of things. One, it's about the continued destruction of our people. And then two, for those of us who not those of us, let me correct that. I ain't never been part of no boule ever in my life. All right, let me correct that. I don't know nothing about it, only what Steve Coakley put out. And that was back in the day. Steve Coakley was putting out information that was proven to be factual and true. If you haven't heard of Stephen Coakley, look him up because they wind up removing him off the earth. He was bringing so much truth. Okay, sis. So I'm gonna let you get back to it. You want me to stop sharing my screen? Do you want to go into that article?
That article was just basically, and I'll put it in the chat for anyone that wants to read it. And I think that the asks were very reasonable. Okay. The asks were very reasonable. I mean, it's kind of like even when, the Black Panthers had a 10-point program, they're trying to figure out a way to build.
Okay, you broke up, sis. I think we lost you there for a second. I did put the article
That we're
up.
reaching for,
Okay, there
right?
you go.
And so I'm
You had,
saying,
excuse me, sis.
mhm.
You had broke up for a second. So now
Oh,
you're back.
okay.
So go ahead. So the last few
Okay.
things that you said, you might want to repeat it.
Okay, I said, you think about even during the time of the Black Panther Party and their 10-point program, right? And they're just reaching for a way to offer some protection, knowing that their social construct that they're surrounded by is corrupt, right? And so nothing in this demand was unreasonable. Nothing was unrealistic or far from reach. However, this is the reason that I got kicked out of the NAACP. And then ultimately, this last trip to New York is the reason why I'm deciding to walk away from the asking the civil rights organizations to do anything.
Okay, so fam, I'll put the link in the chat. There's the link to the article that you see on the screen. There's the link right there. If you want to look at the article that our sister wrote, and you can see by the name right there, it says Christina Laster. So she's been involved. She's been in the mix on a high level, not on no low Mickey Mouse level where most people talk. They talk like they want to do something, and then at the end of the day, they never do nothing. This sister's active, and she's active from a perspective that she know her culture. See, it's a difference where you acting out, and basically that's what you're doing. You're acting out because you get in the bag. You acting out NAAC, fake CP. You acting out so that you can get that money. But see, it's one thing to get the money, but what you doing with it?
Right.
What are you doing with that money? Because quite frankly, I don't need $1 million to pop. I could take a handful of Israelites with a little bit of money and we'll take over some things.
Look, and I'm coming for the Reubenites and the half tribe of Manasseh. Remember, I told you that we know we're Gadites here, and I think about it from the perspective of, First Chronicles 12:8, and it says some Gadites joined David at the stronghold in the wilderness, mighty men of valor, men trained for battle, who could handle shield and spear, and whose faces were like the faces of lions, and were as swift as gazelles on the mountains. And so, why are we afraid?
You know why? Because you don't really truly believe. You don't really put your, well, number one, you don't really fully believe who you truly are. And then secondly, you don't really truly believe what the book says and how powerful you really are. That's what I'm deduced to. Because if we do it, and here's the example. I know we shadow ban. We'll do shows like this, and they'll restrict the views down to whatever they're restricted to. And as soon as we do a show about who shot John or some plane crash or some wreck that happened with the heathen or something like that, all you get Israelites joining all over the place, and the views will be up 2, 3, or 4, or 5-fold. So who am I pointing the finger at? Well, I'm pointing the finger at the system, number one, but then I'm also pointing a finger at the Israelites. I don't believe the Israelites believe. I don't. Y'all have to convince me. Like I say, if Sister Christine Lassiter say something, I'm gonna believe her because she's an Israelite, but she got work. Where somewhere in the book talks about faith without works is something. Faith without works is not alive. Say something where faith without works is what? Dead. So you talk about you believe. I seen somebody quoting Deuteronomy. But if you really believe that, then where your works at? See, I'm gonna always get back to that. If you're talking about, oh, this is all we should be doing is doing A. Well, okay. If you only gonna teach your children the law, then how are they gonna live? What are they gonna do after that? What else are you teaching them? I saw that comment. I'm not even going to dignify the comment because you sound ridiculous. Point blank. Anyway, sis, I'm going to let you go on and keep rocking out.
Well, without faith, it is impossible to please the Most High. For we have to come to Him and believe that He is. And if He is, and He said that we are who we are, and we don't believe that, then do we really believe in the Most High? Okay. And that He is also a rewarder of those who diligently seek Him. And so every day I'm on my face. If we have to lay prostrate to you, get out of that fear. Okay. Father, shake it off of us. Okay. Because fear has to do with consequences and not being perfected in love. And so if we can't pray the prayer, I'm scared, help me be bold, then we don't believe the Most High is who He says He is.
And when I say I don't believe that Israel believe, I don't, brother. See, I don't even think you believe. I'm pointing the finger at myself too, like I always do, brother. See, I don't believe that you Israelite. I don't believe that you believe you book. And quite frankly, do you, brother C, do you really believe what the book says? Because if you everybody should be asking themselves these questions that I'm putting out. Why? Because if you did, you wouldn't be doing some of the things that you know, number one, and you would have what this says right here. You would be doing this. You go ahead and teach your children the law. That's right. Teach your children the law. That's beautiful. That's great and wonderful. What do you have to your charge? What you got? Yeah, a man may say thou have faith. Okay, so you, brother, you quote Deuteronomy. You got faith. Okay, I'll give you Deuteronomy because I rock it with Deuteronomy. Where your works at, bro? Where are they at?
Where did you bury your talent? Go get it.
Is you the brother with the 1 talent, or you the brother with the 5 talents that got busy? What's the rest of the verse saying? I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works. So if you come here talking crazy, I'm gonna come at you. Yes, I am. Today is not that day. Normally, I'll let foolishness stand. Not today though, because I'm not in the mood for it. And I love when our family posts in the chat. That's beautiful, wonderful, excellent, and great. It's beautiful. But at the same time, if the chat don't like you up, brother C is gonna say something. Point blank. Period. So sis, I'm gonna move off.
And the real question for people like that is, do you want to be made well? Now, I didn't see the comment that you're talking about because again, I'm on my device, but I remember when Yeshua saw this man laying there and he had spent a long time in his condition. The word says that. He asked him, do you want to get well? Do you want to get well? And maybe some people are comfortable in their condition and in their fear, but it takes, us to do it a step at a time, because as you go along the way, you practice till you master. You don't wake up, swifter than a gazelle if you've been eating yum-yums and come on, Dunkin' Donuts. You don't wake up swifter than a gazelle. Even if you say, I'm going to be swifter than a gazelle, there are some active steps that you take as you walk in faith, right? I didn't wake up at this level of warfare and being able to go through battle after battle after battle just one day. No, don't stop letting Disney and them live vicariously through you, right? It is very practical that you will wake up and say, I know that I'm going to have to enter into warfare, so I need to take the steps and pray and walk in faith and practice until I master it. If I mess up, guess what? The book of Revelation says we are to the overcomer, right? To he who overcomes. And so that is even a faith move, to know that even if I don't get it right this time, the Father is going to help me be an overcomer. And everything, he's going to work it out for good, because even what happened with Joseph was worked out for good. Okay. And so those are the active daily things that we need to do to prepare ourselves and say, yeah, we believe that our hands will be prepared for war and our fingers for battle. but what are we doing to show that we actually believe it? Are we lying there in the same condition?
Yeah, and I'm looking at the comments, sis, and I put a couple of them. I've been putting them up, and they're echoing the proper and same and right and exact sentiments. It's really time out for playing for us. It was actually, quite frankly, fam, it was time out for playing 100 years ago. It was time out for playing when Black Wall Street happened. Truly, truly, truly time off of plan. Now, we have the benefit of the book. We have the benefit of being able to travel back and look at history. And because we have that, we should truly understand what time we're in.
Right.
We're in a war on every, I got to get back to this. We're in a war on every front in our life. Every aspect, we are in war. We're in war with the entertainment industry. We are in war at work. We
Mm-hmm.
are in war with the medical industry. We are in war with the food industry. We are in war with the housing industry. We are in war amongst ourselves. We are in war with Psalms 83. We are in war with this nation. We are in war with the heathens of this nation. We are at war with the other heathens like Azov Regiment and Right Sector that they brought in from the Ukraines against us. We also have the people that was already here that's against us. We even sometimes have our own NAACP, Boule, Bob, and Betty's against us. Do you know, family, that you're in a war? Put a 3 up if you understand that. I don't believe that you understand it, because I don't believe that you believe you're Israel. Brother C, you done paradigm. No, I haven't. Hey, Brother C just be hard on y'all sometimes. That's all.
But brother, see, the more that the Most High separates the wheat from the tares, we better expect that war to come, right? And so the more that we declare who we are and the lies that have been told about us and to us, and the more that we infuse the law, statutes, and commandments in our children, you don't think that they're gonna get attacked? A lot of them get attacked. I had to sit with my daughter to teach her how to advocate when she is sticking to the law, statutes, and commandments, and the teachers are telling her to be quiet. That's not true. Okay. And that when she is proclaiming her identity and they're treating her like she's make believing when she had to go through that. Right. And we're talking about college professors, because my 16-year-old daughter is a homeschool student, but she's a dual enrolled college student. So she's doing her whole high school diploma and college classes, 2 classes per semester. She's arguing with college professors
And winning.
about her identity
And winning.
and winning and
That's the part
winning.
that's the part I already know. You didn't even tell me that. She arguing and winning. I already know. See, because
Right.
that's one thing. There's a separator. The book is a separator.
Yes. The truth
The
is a
book,
divider.
that's right. The book gonna separate the truth, gonna separate you from truth from fiction. Nobody can tell me we don't fit 28, 15 through 68. Who else fit it then? That's
Right.
the only place I need to run to prove who Israel is. I don't need to run to him, and I can run. We used to run to and fro inside of the book because we used to be on the street. A lot of people know we was on the street, just like our brothers Sakari, just like our brothers IUIC and the other camps. We was out there for a minute like that. We had our time like that. And we said, okay, it's time to move inside. But we had our time out there like that. We know the book backwards, forwards, left, right,
Right.
point blank.
And the Most High shows, he's faithful in showing us what we need to separate ourselves from. And I've been through that. I've been through that stage of the Most High saying you need to separate yourself from this organization or these people, because you cannot enter into any agreement with what they're doing and saying. Okay. And I don't know what that path forward may look like all the time, but I trust that my steps are ordered. And so that's the faith that is the practice till you master, and I'll get there, right? where I need to be, and however, whatever door needs to be open, whatever resource needs to be provided. I just believe that the Most High got it, and I'm gonna just keep going. And I tell people, look, even if you got an attitude like Jonah, like I don't believe that I should go over there and talk to these people. If the Most High say do it, do it.
Sis, I want you to look at. I want to, before we get into the actual meat of the discussion, and I want to make sure two things: that you cover what you Sacramento, and you clearly covered New York, and that you got into the idea of who you really are, because I wanted to be 100% abundantly clear. We not dealing with a boule Betty here, fam. We are not dealing with that. This sister is not involved with that. The boule kicked her out, so she a renegade. But
Yeah.
she a renegade that knows who she is. Now I want you to read this comment. I want you to comment on this comment. Sarah Pumpkin says, Tajal Hardy, yes, I seen who the founders of the NAACP, but we must go deeper, just as the Urban League. So what's your thoughts on that?
So, when it was the Niagara movement, there was some argument between Ida B, um, W.B. Du Bois, and I believe it was Washington. And they were arguing just over this very thing because W.B. Du Bois said that, because of the system of stratification that Black people live under, we're going to have to develop an elite class, right? And they didn't want it Ida be there because she was a Black woman fighting the fight, right? And that wasn't part of. Mm-hmm.
No, you had broke up for a
Can you
second.
hear me?
Go ahead. I can hear you now loud and clear.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Thanks for letting me know. And so Ida B, this is the part of the split of who's elite and who's not. How are we gonna carry forth this elitism? And with no resources, we can't do much. And so at that point was the point of the concession to the Mary Ovingtons and the so-called, Northern philanthropists and all of these people that claim to care, who we call liberal progressive Democrats today, right, who claim to care about Black causes, but just use Black faces for their own idolatry and worship. Okay. And so that is true that the organization was founded based on that, the elitism, and who's going to support it, and who showed up to support it. But the Northern philanthropists, some people say that there's roots to the Jewish people, those acting like, okay. And then I know that there are also roots to the Quakers, right? And so that is basically how the foundation of the NAACP started and stemmed from the Niagara movement. And that is the way that they function today. You can't come up in there as a radical, like that, with a Black agenda, like they said, and they're a minority serving organization. Okay. And so they've set that as a foundation for the way civil rights organizations are going to, work. And the question that Malcolm X had was a very relevant question. If we hear the NAACP talking about our civil rights, but we ain't benefited from any of them, then either they're tricking us or something's going on. Okay. And I didn't say it exactly the way he quoted it. Right. But that's what he said. If we're not benefiting off of our so-called civil rights, and these so-called civil rights leaders and organizations keep telling us, just tarry a little longer, we shall overcome. We haven't gotten anywhere, right? And as a matter of fact, if our condition has gotten worse, then there is some deception happening here, and people are going to have to wake up and rise up out of that deception.
See, you just took that whole comment that I had typed up out of my mouth. So I'm gonna go ahead and rephrase it because I wanted to throw them under the bus. So basically, all these so-called Negro organizations, you created the Mickey Mouse Club. But you created the Mickey Mouse Club, but the only people that benefit from the Mickey Mouse Club in the NAACP, Urban League, what they call that one, the Negro, the Black Caucus. All these clubs, who benefited from these things? It's not me. I ain't seen nothing that you benefited from. Now, mind you, you created these in the early 1900s, the late 1800s. Where are we at as a people? Have we gotten better financially? They say by 2050, which is a lie. They say by 2050, black wealth is going to be to zero. And we use the term black because that's the term that they use. We Israelites. All right. For those of you who are new. But you created all of these clubs and organizations. Meanwhile, black people, so-called black people, the Israelites, is on the bottom. People come over here, which is by design. Even Hamites come over here from the land. They get on top. They get money. They get resources. And the people that's been here, you get nothing. You got nothing coming. So I'm not with the organizations. Go ahead, sis.
And I get blackballed from them, right? So that's how I know it doesn't matter what they do or have tried to do to attack me, to attack my ability to, move within these spaces. It doesn't matter because the Most High has been with me, opening doors that no man can shut, closing doors that no man can open, and giving me the keys to the kingdom to set people free, to set our children free. Okay. And so, it's one of those things where you do have to be prepared to battle them, because they will, when we advocate in the way that we are and know who we are and are very clear about what we're saying, they're going to try to tell you, no, that's not what it is. Right. That's the first thing. It's like Sanballat, Tobiah, and Gosham. Here they come. Okay. Why are you building that? Don't do that. You're not supposed to be doing that. Right. And it gets worse as it comes out ultimately as an outright attack. And when I was advocating in Northern California about a situation with Black children, being spit on and all kind of other stuff, I had the lady from the state conference call and tell me, Christina, you're messing up my contracts. What? What do you mean I'm messing up your $1 million contract? Because I'm over here telling these wicked heathens to stop spitting on our kids at the lunch court.
Why would a child why would that be something that's actually assault, isn't it? Under criminal law, that's assault.
But see, this is the thing. Is it justice or is it just us? Because then when we say we want to press charges, no officers come out, right?
Right.
When we say we need the video footage to see what happened, and this has happened to me all across this nation, when our children are assaulted, the video footage suddenly is nowhere to be found. Okay. No officers want to come and take a report. And then by the time I get on the phone and get the DOJ on their head to get them to come out and take a report, they got an attitude. And so you got to think about, how's the report going to come out? It definitely doesn't reflect what really happened, and it's just the wicked part of the system again, right? And so we have to be recorders of our own incidences, to bring our own evidence. What other people have to bring their own evidence with them to show that they're a victim of a crime?
The Israelites only. That's it. Look at this comment, sis. I want to go back to this just for briefly, and then we can get into the us learning how to become advocates and the stuff that you're going to teach us. Look at this comment from Joy31608, and shalom, sis. If I didn't shalom you earlier, peace and blessings to you. You see the comment on the screen? It's not their business to challenge her identity. She's talking about your daughter here. Her identity in the first place. The same people who let children identify as cats. What do you say to that, sis?
That's true. And had I not taught my daughter the U.S. Code of Federal Regulations to be able to articulate that in a way a system can get a signal, they wouldn't have backed off of her. But they did when she opened her mouth and said, according to your rules, you're not supposed to do that, right? And so that is the thing. Like when we show up, again, we can't just show up in an emotional way, because it's a system of codes and symbols that understands their signals, right? And when you're disrupting with their signals, they recognize, okay, this is not the norm. And that's when the fear goes in the opposite direction. Okay. And so a lot of times that's what I have to do when I stand in for parents, because, they're coming and they're crying. And the first thing I say is stop crying in front of them, because the thing about it is that this is a form of domestic terrorism, waves of domestic terrorism, and they like and get a sick and perverted emotional pleasure from watching you broke down.
They love that. They love when you, and that's why when you get accosted, and I'm gonna say this out over the open air, when you get accosted by a police or they asking you questions, the first thing you should do is shut the hell up. Why? Because
Mhm.
they tell you all the time you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. So if your cops approach you, you go on mute. Don't say a word to them. Matter of fact, break your camera out if you need to, or if you would somebody, have them break out the camera so you can have it documented. Because if we didn't have technology, oh man, you
I
gonna
want to.
see you. Go ahead, sis. Go ahead.
Oh, and I'm sorry, I got
No. Go ahead.
broken up on the. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so I want you guys to understand too to exercise that right if DCS or CPS come to your house. Okay. Now I'm gonna tell you what that looked like in when they tried to come to my house saying someone called on them, which I knew was a lie. Nobody called Child Protective Services on you, but they tried to say, "Oh, we got a report. Where'd you get the report from?" Well, we don't have to tell you. Can we come in? Absolutely not, because I'm not letting you in because I know that as soon as you walk in here, everything you see will be left open to your interpretations. And for a fact, I know that the worst place for Black people to be is in white imaginations. Okay.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
And
Time out. 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 I'm gonna stop you. See, you be dropping these heavy ones, and then you want to just keep going on. No, I'm gonna stop you right there. I want you to repeat that, please. Could you please repeat that for the people in the back that didn't
the
hear you, please?
the worst, and y'all can quote me on this, the worst place for Black people to be is in white imaginations. Okay. So they can't come into our home. Anything that they see, they'll use against you. So three people came to my door and asked to come in and talk to my children. I said, "You're not coming in here without a warrant." And they tried to talk me into letting them in. And I said, "You're not coming in my house without a warrant. And I know the law in the state of California, you can't use uh, force to compel children out of the home. So good luck today." Okay. And they said, "Well, ma'am, we'll just go talk to them at school." I said, "Well, good luck with that because they're homeschooled. So I'm their teacher. You're looking at their teacher."
So you got swatted then basically by CPS.
Yes. Well, because, they try to take me out any way they can. Right. And I knew nobody had called them because my kids are homeschooled. How are you going to come up in my house trying to talk to my kids, looking around to see what you can see? And being in California, people things have been planted on people, so I'm very well aware of the shakedown. And I told them they didn't have any paperwork to prove that anything had happened. I'm not a Fourth Amendment waiver. You're not coming in my house. You're not looking around, inspecting my children. So you can go up and try to write a false report that says something else happened that didn't. Right. And so we have to stop them at the door. Do not let them in. And you need to train your children to not to talk to anybody. The first thing that my kids will say is, "I need my mom. And if you can't get her, I need an attorney present." My children know that, even my grandchildren. Okay. And so that's what has to be said. There's no other conversation. I told my children, other children that I have trained around this, no. If they ask you your favorite color, I need a lawyer is your response. Okay. If they ask you, well, what did you have for breakfast? I need a lawyer and my mom is the response. And that's what you say on autopilot until somebody on your side gets in there. It doesn't matter how much fear they try to evoke. Your repeat answer is, "I need a lawyer and my parents."
Did you guys hear that, fam? Lawyer. They ask you a question, lawyer. They say you need to come with us, lawyer. And if it's your child, I need my parents, lawyer. I need my parents, lawyer. That's the only script that they should know. I need my parents, lawyer. I need my parents, lawyer. They keep saying it over and over again. You ask me a question, what's it? Police ask me, Cleo, what color is the sky? Lawyer. Okay. Where were you at? Lawyer. Why did you lawyer? That's the only cap I got for you, sir, ma'am, lawyer.
And the system is really smart about the way that they do it after the students refuse to talk. So they'll go get someone black that the children can relate to and try to have them break them down to get information. Now, once they have that information, they are able to use that as evidence and facts against your child.
Look at
Okay.
this comment, then we go get into look at this comment system. We're gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna get into the good teaching that you have for us. The Most High is going to let this system to bring us to our knees, which we've been on our knees for a minute, so that's absolutely correct. All the hidden agendas and the closet love for Esau world isn't fooling the Most High. By what you need, stop watching TV, sports, movies, etc. What you think about that, sis?
I'm trying to read it. It's a little bit jumbled up on my end. I don't know why. And so, can you repeat the last part?
Okay, so I'll read it again. The Most High is going to let the system bring us to our knees. I'm taking out a word that probably shouldn't be there, which we are already on our knees. Actually, we've been on our knees for the last couple hundred years. All the hidden agendas and in the closet love for Esau world isn't fooling the Most High. So, what the person is saying, if you got closet love for Esau in this world, he's not being fooled. The Most High is not being fooled. Um, Buy what you need, and here's the comments. Buy what you need. Stop watching TV, sports, movies, etc. So basically, I'm going to paraphrase what the person wrote is that we need to separate ourselves from the world and really get back to the Father and quit playing Israelite. Basically, what I see by there is that you playing Israelite. Stop watching. Stop playing Israelite, and be real about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's according to the precepts, right? Like, to come out and be separate, come out from among them and be separate in the best way that we can. Because remember, the Most High said to Moshe or Moses, go down there and tell Pharaoh to let my people go for what? So that they can worship, coming to a true worship. Okay. And so, you know, when we look at the fact that we are, surrounded by images and symbols, like I said, 200 symbols are known automatically in a child's developing and growing brain by the time that they're 7 years old. Nobody has to tell us when we see all of these symbols coming our way that the stoplight means what it means. We know yellow, green, and red, right? We know caution. We know poison symbols. We know even barcodes. What does that mean, right? Like all of those things are portrayed to us throughout society every day without words, without the use of words, right? And so you see a lot of symbols, that aren't appropriate and definitely aren't holy, right? Just being thrown at us, especially when you talk about phallic worship. And we won't have to talk about that in this forum today, but when we think about it from that perspective, right? And all of the things that are portrayed during holidays around phallic worship and things that are just thrust upon children whose brains are still developing and taking those symbols. And then also the use of predictive programming, right? As a form of brainwashing, as a form of, letting you know what they're going to do, as a form of invoking fear, right? That comes through sources of technology, whether that be on social media or whatever. And I mean, there's wickedness in high places, and our prayer needs to be that God would dispose of the wickedness in high places and reestablish us as the righteous in those places.
Okay, fam. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to briefly ask. I'm not going to run a commercial, but I'm just going to share the screen right quick. I want you guys to support, if you can, support the channel by going to the channel and not giving your brother C his 30% that you owe him. Y'all do know y'all owe brother C a Trinity offering, right? Anytime I come on, y'all owe me not 10%, not 20%, but I need 30% of your winnings, earnings, and offerings so that I could go out and buy a private jet so I could fly over the world and continue to talk foolishness and nonsense about Christianity. But if you do love the work that Salt of the Earth Productions does, you would support the channel by going to the channel and supporting us by purchasing some merchandise. We got the new collection, the Strange Fruit collection. You could shop on that, or we also have the Village Drip collection. So you guys go to SOTEPP. Did I say that right? SOTEPP.com and pick up some merchandise. Also, if I didn't tell you guys earlier, you guys need to go to support the sister's channel by joining her channel and subbing to her channel first of all, and then also going to her channel, going to her website. And I don't have the link; I destroyed the link, but I'll put the link up again. But going to her website and supporting her website, because the sister is doing an awesome and fantastic, great work for our children. And this is not just about how shall we say? This is not just about propping up somebody to prop up somebody. The book says specifically at least 83 times or 88 times, I forget the number, and it talks about the fatherless and the child and the widow. Okay? We should be the ones going to bat for our children when they're in the court systems. When they say, "Oh yeah, your child was talking out of turn. We need to go and put them in juvenile hall." Or no, we need to run them through through the court system because they were talking out of turn in class. Meanwhile, Billy, Bob, and Jenny were spitting on children and didn't get charged with assault. This kind of thing happens every day, and it needs to stop. And we all need to get involved. Not just one sister. It needs to be all of us involved. Whether we have time, we can make time. We got time enough to sit on YouTube and watch every Israelite speaking about what they're speaking about on YouTube, yet we're not putting into practice what they're telling us. If you're putting into practice what you're telling you get off. I'm gonna tell all y'all right now, get off YouTube. Stop watching YouTube and get activated, get active. You know what the Father put in your spirit to do. If it's to support the sister, yeah, that's one thing that you should be doing. You should be supporting the sister. Point blank. This is a heavy work that she's doing. And it sounds like she don't have too many of us helping out.
No. A lot of people avoid that. They'll pat me on the back and say, "You're doing a really good job for our children. You keep doing the good work." And, that's it. And so I want people that may be even listening as mothers that I'm a single parent. I wouldn't be able to do this without my parents, stepping in when I need to go out of town and taking care of the children. I homeschool my children, and that was a scary thought because we are trained to have a 9 to 5, but my whole life flipped upside down. And I had to believe that Yahweh Elohim is who he says he is, and it will do exactly what he said he's going to do and not leave my children in the wicked beast system. And that was my point of saying, I got to do what I got to do. It doesn't matter. I'm going to believe that the Most High is going to make it happen. I'm going to believe that I can do all things, and we're just going to go ahead. And I have, since that moment, not lacked anything for my children. And they have been educated from home and are in good hands. Okay. And I go out and fight for the children that don't have a voice and their parents don't know what to say and don't know what to do and have just been beaten all the way down to the ground to where, you one more blow and I don't know what's going to happen. Right. And so those are the things that we have to understand, that this is not just one day you wake up and, like I said again, it just all, is glorious. No, this is a battle. We're in pursuit. Okay. We're in pursuit. And so I want to encourage moms with that may be scared about, what am I supposed to do? I'm dependent on the system to take care of my children. Well, you know what? Put your dependence on the Most High. And I don't mean that as just a buzz phrase. I mean that for real, because I'm showing you that I did it and you can do it too.
All praise to the Father for that. That's powerful. Bro, I see you, and I'm gonna put this up with respect to the comment that you made. And I'll tell you this right now. Nobody in this chat, nobody on the panel believe that Esau, the heathen, whatever you want to call them, the gents, whatever you want to call those people, and everybody, Psalms 83, it's not up for us for them to do anything for us. And nor are we under
Mm-mm.
the illusion that these people is gonna do anything for us. If something gonna get done for the Israelites, guess who have to do it? It had to be Israel. If Israel's gonna take over some industry or something like that, it's got to be them putting in the work and doing it. Not for this construct, because we see the Western construct is about to go down. The Western construct is already over with. And then this is what the Israelites been praying for. But you
Yeah.
praying for the destruction of the Western construct, what's going to fill that vacuum? Are you prepared to fill that vacuum that's about to be created? That's the question. You know that the Western construct is going down. Are you preparing yourself to take over something and to be the lead in something? Because there's this, if the construct had to be put back together, whether they take us to which I don't believe it is going to be. I don't believe it's going to be like Mad Max, but that's what they want because they know that they're about to be eliminated and about to be extinguished. So they want to take everybody down with them, and they want everybody to be doom and gloom, everybody to be destroyed. But that's not how it's going to go down. So how are you preparing yourself? What are you doing? How are you doing it? When are you doing it, and why? Anyway, I'm gonna get off my soapbox, sis. And since I done put the website up, y'all seen the website, y'all seen the sister's work. I put the link up, and her information is scrolling down on the bottom. Her email is scrolling on the bottom. Her YouTube channel is scrolling on the bottom. So there's no excuse for y'all not to be able to not only get in contact with her, but I'm imploring you, if you have connects with larger channels, Solid Earth is a small shadow band entity that they try to shadow ban us and stop us, but it is what it is. If you have connects with larger platforms, don't even mention that she was on Solid Earth. Just mention, hey, the sister, Christina Laster, she's doing a great work for our people. It shouldn't make a difference whether she's a Baptist, a Christian, an Israelite, RGB, believe in Buddha, or atheist. Makes no difference whatsoever. She needs to be on these platforms so that she could sound the alarm because it's all of our responsibility. And it's not just our responsibility here because we don't talk enough about our brothers in the UK. We don't talk enough about our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean. We don't talk about our brothers in South America. We do not talk enough. And shout out to our brothers all over the globe, the diaspora. We don't talk about that enough. But our lane is our lane is our lane, and the sister got our lane. So, sis, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna let you have the floor so that we can get into Omaya. Hey, I got that word, sis, and I appreciate that. And I'll be hitting you back later on that. I want you to go in and you can direct me on how we're going to rock out with the rest of the information that you was dropping us. And fam, I hope you guys go back and listen to part 1 because it's going to fill in a lot of the gaps. She's going to pick up hopefully where she left off so that we can understand how we can not only become advocates, but we could be active and do what the book says that we're supposed to be doing. Right?
And brother C, I want to encourage you, and just if I can real fast, as you're speaking, I'm thinking about Ezra reading the book of the law before the assembly, before men and women who could all understand what they heard, right? And all the ears of all the people were attentive to the book of the law, right? But then you had weeping in the crowd, right? Weeping and shouting mixed. And so I always am mindful of the experiences that, I see throughout the Bible, and that these are part of the experiences that we see today. Like you're going to have some weeping mixed in with shouting when you're reading this, the law, statutes, and commandments before the assembly. And when in doing this work, I remember Yeshua healed 10 lepers and only one came back to give thanks. Okay. So I'm very aware of, the way that people accept information and what they do with it. But even the one that comes back and gives thanks, I'm grateful for that. So I just wanted to share that with you. And if you could bring up Luke 11:52 prior to me going into the slides, because it is really heavy on my heart to share this verse right here when talking about the system.
Gotcha. We'll get it in a second. Give me a minute. I'm a little bit slow.
It's okay.
I'm on I'm on my favorite. I love Bible Gateway. I don't know why I love Bible Gateway,
I
but
use that in
I
blue
love
letter.
Bible Gateway. Yeah. Bible Gateway give me I like how the database is because it's a database. It's a database of information. So you call Luke 4
1152.
Luke 11:52. Okay, we'll get that. Okay, we got it. Let me share my screen right quick. Yeah, because I don't it's not about salt of the earth, y'all. And y'all know how I am and how we are here. We big up and we talk about other people's channels all the time. And we say, hey, go watch their information, go watch our information, because it's all hands on deck. It's not about Salt of the Earth Productions. It's not. It's about our people. We don't charge no money. We don't make a dime for what we're doing. And
Right.
everything that we've done up until this point has been all of our own wallet, has been out of our own
Yep.
pocket. The documentaries that you've seen us put together have been out of our pocket. When we come on, it's some work to come on. And all of that is all gratis, is free, because we love our people. That's the only reason why we do what we do, because we love our people. Not for any, we're not doing it for mammon's sake, and we're not doing it for money, because everybody got jobs. And not only do everybody got jobs, everybody got bomb IPs, whether you know we did them or not. I can tell you this right now. It's some Israelites doing some work that y'all will believe heathens did it, and y'all will say, oh, yeah, the heathen did a good job, and y'all don't even know Israelites did it. Go on, sis. You said 11:52?
Right. And so in context in Luke 11, you see Yeshua in this heated discussion, I'll call it that. And then ultimately pronouncing woes, right, to the Pharisees. And then you have the makers of the law, or the lawyers, that are saying you're offending us. And you see that in corresponding books that show this same, situation happening. And then he says, well, woe unto you, lawyers, for you have taken away the key of knowledge. You entered not yourselves, and then you are hindering those who would have been entering. Okay. And so when we think about legislators and lawyers in that way, those people that are holding the keys of knowledge, the education system, so called, right? Hindering people from entering, but they didn't even enter themselves. Okay. And so when I talk about wicked codification, wicked codes and statutes and laws, that's what I'm talking about. Those that are taking away the keys of knowledge and have not entered and are hindering other people from entering. And so I wanted to just say that before I go into this prepared lesson about some of the wicked codification and codes and things that we need to be aware of, and what to look for and how to advocate about those things. All right, if you want to go to the presentation.
Okay, you have to give me a minute to find it because it's somewhere. The one you sent me via email, right?
Yes.
Okay, I downloaded it, sis, and you know what? I
It's
jiggled my own
probably in
wires.
your PDF, yeah.
I jiggled my own wires on myself. I need to find it. I think I closed it. Let me check my let me check and see everything that I have open right now. I don't. That's not it. That's not it. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to. I
I
had
can
it up.
resend it too.
No. I had it. I already had downloaded it and I had it open. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open it again. Okay, so it's
Okay.
open right now. You want me to share it?
Yes, and then we can just start at the first page.
Okay. And is this the same one we did last week, or this is a new one?
This one should be green, and I did it color coded that way so that it wouldn't get confused with last week's.
Okay, great. So, fam, listen, we got a whole new presentation coming up, and it's going to be a pickup from last time. And so I done did all that hooping and hollering. Hopefully, I didn't mess y'all up. Y'all didn't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me. I'm gonna tell y'all, get off my lawn, as I
It,
always do. Y'all get off
it's
my lawn.
weeping and shouting in the crowd. Okay,
That's
so
right. That's right. Okay, so I'm gonna get the screen set up so that we could see everything, and then can you put one up if you can see the screen? Fine. If it's not messed up, and I'm gonna check the zoom on it just to make sure. Okay, sis, let me know if you can see the screen.
I
Okay,
can
and then we
see it.
can get started.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and everything looks good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So
Yeah.
you could direct me as far as what slide
Yeah,
to go
and you can
to.
close that side box too, and we can just scroll down as we're going along. That way, it could be full screen if you know how to.
Okay.
I don't know how to
Yeah.
really.
Let me.
Okay,
There
there we
we
go.
go.
Right there. Yes, we go. Leave that right there. All right. So I had mentioned before that one way to really start training children up around wisdom, right? To put wisdom in there because we know that in the book of Proverbs it says that folly is bound up in the heart of a child, and so it takes a rod of correction to drive it far from them. But what I had noticed was that with children, it's like they're really consuming and internalizing everything that they see around them. And so when you ask them to respond, all they can externalize is what they've internalized. And I started to create a practice in my home where every single day my children read the book of Proverbs according to the date. And so today is the 16th, and we're looking at a Proverbs 16 verse. And I just wanted to share that practice again to reiterate that that's one way to get started from within your home to be able to build your children up around what is wise and what is foolish, okay? What is righteous and what is wicked. So we see right here, better is a little with righteousness than great revenues without right. And that word right is justice. Okay. And so that's Proverbs 16:8. And we were talking about Psalm 89:14 last time. Judgment and justice and judgment are the habitation of thy throne. Mercy and truth shall go before thy face. So this is just basically a recap of that word justice again, and looking at that in the Strong's concordance as being the right, natural, moral, or legal. Also, equity or figuratively prosperity, right? We talked about that word equity being about fairness, right? Balanced scales and measures. Everyone also getting what he or she needs, not equality. Okay. People start talking about equality. That's something that makes them feel good, right? Knowing that they've set up a system of controlled deprivation so that you're never going to get to that marker of equality. And plus, no two people are alike. So why are we trying to be like somebody else anyway, right? So equity is really infused in the definition of what justice is, right? And so that again is on the next page. I'm sorry. I'm looking at a page that you're not on. I'm sorry about that. So if you go to the next page, we went through that. And then we just went to the next page. Okay. And anyone who wants a copy of these slides, I'm more than willing to send them to you, Brother Seer. If they email you, you can just give them to them. This is information that people sometimes have to go back and look at and, understand a little bit more. They can rewatch this and take screenshots. I have no problem with information because this is the way that we should be searching and researching and looking at information. All right. And so if you go to the next slide, again, just reiterating that better is a little with righteousness than vast revenues without justice. And if you get the opportunity, I want you to get Proverbs 16. This is a homework assignment. You can call it that, everyone watching, and just look at the word etymology for righteousness, revenues, justice, all of those things. And what I usually do is a tool on the Blue Letter Bible that I want to look up every single word, break it down, find out what the root etymology is, find out what the original meaning of that word is, because so much has been changed through language translations that sometimes we hear this word justice, or sometimes we hear this word righteousness, and we really don't know what was being said about that and what other scriptures and context is being used, which would help us to have a better understanding. And so I know that we should just be studiers of the word in that way in general. I have broken it down on the next slide, right, to show an example of, the ways to start to break that down. And Brother C, if you would like to go to a Blue Letter Bible, we can stop for a moment and just do that so that, everyone has understanding of what's being said in Proverbs 16:8, if you would like to.
Okay, sis, give me a moment to bring it up. Go ahead and speak, and I need to. I was going to tell you in the
I could bring it
background.
up too. Yeah, no, I could bring it up
Yeah,
too.
if you could bring it up, that would be fine.
I'm not going to be able
I
to
got
bring
it.
it up. Okay. So I didn't know if you could open another tab, because I could just talk about what it says in the tool as far as this is concerned in the Blue Letter Bible while you're bringing that up. And if anybody has that ability to just look at it on their phones or whatever devices to go along, because I want people to see things in context. Don't just listen to what somebody tells you, look it up. You know what I mean? And that's what I do, and that's what I teach my children to do. So teach your children to do that as well, to inquire and research and search and study, to make sure that what they're hearing is accurate. And anytime that I make a mistake, please let me know, right? Because we're doing this together. So when we look at the word righteousness in the first sense, you have the use of Strong's Concordance H6666. And I will just play the way that that's said. So I don't know.
Okay, so I have the Blue Letter Bible up. What
Oh,
do you want me
okay.
to search for? It's
Okay.
on the screen right now.
So we have Proverbs 16:8, where we're breaking it down so that we can understand the use of righteousness and justice, because it's not the way that the world will say something's right, just, or fair, right? That was the thing that we talked about last week. When you see situations, the first questions that need to arise is this right? Is this just? Is this fair? Right? In order to effectively pursue what's right, just, and fair. So if we look at righteousness from that perspective, you see the word etymology with H concordance 6666.
Do you want me to click on the concordance
Please
number?
do.
Okay.
Please do. Mm-hmm.
It's up.
All right. And then if you can play the pronunciation of that. I don't know if it'll let you play with that little sound thing, the little, yep.
Can you hear it? Could you hear that? Okay,
no,
let me stop sharing my screen. Let me do it again. That's on me, sis. What
I know
I'll
I
do is
tried
I'll
to
share
play
my
it from
screen.
mine too, and I couldn't figure out how to do it.
Strong's H 6666.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so tell me if you can put a one up in fam if you can hear me play it. I'm gonna go ahead and play it right now. Oh, give me a second. Okay, so tell me if you can hear this. Could you hear that? Can you hear that? Yes, no? Anybody hear me?
I heard you.
Okay, did you hear the commentary?
I did.
Okay, great. Okay, great.
And so if we go down, and so if we go down past that, you see the Strong's info right there, and it explains exactly what that means from the root etymology 8663. So 6663. And so, we're talking about moral rectitude, virtue, justice. Again, righteousness and justice are always a couple. You can't separate it. And so I tell people, in order to fight for justice, it has to be right. Okay. A lot of people say, oh, we're, seeking justice, but is it right? What is right about this situation? We need to evaluate that first. You can't separate the two. They are coupled together, glued together in a way that you're not able to separate and say, well, let's do this thing that's not right, but that's the just thing. No, it's not. It's not the just thing to do because it's not even right. And so you guys see that all throughout society, how society is backwards, fighting for things that they claim are just, but they're not right. Right. And then if you go down to the outline of biblical usage, I wanted people to see that. I wanted people to see the outline of biblical usage and where this is used. Am I on the
We're still on
wrong?
righteousness. We're still on
Right. We're
righteousness.
on righteousness. Okay. And
Yeah.
so right there, above that, right there, outline of biblical uses. So you see, justice is always going to be with righteousness. Okay. And it shows you of the righteousness of a governing body of judge, ruler, king, law, King David, right? Thinking about the attributes or character of the Most High, right? In a cause, okay? People call it the movement. We're fighting for a cause, but are you fighting for something that's right? Okay. A lot of people call rights abortion rights. Let's use that for an example. Is that a right that is a cause that you should be fighting for, right? Because people will say, well, it's the just thing to do, but is it? So we have to be careful what we call a right and what we're fighting for as a cause and in a movement of pursuing what's right, what's just, and what's fair, right? Truthfulness, okay? Ethically right, okay? Who is setting the standards of ethics, okay? It definitely shouldn't be the wicked heathen. Setting the standards of ethics and what's right and truthful and the system of government that rules and judges us. Okay. And that's why we have to look at this from an inside out perspective, and everything that we do is going to be in opposition to what they're doing. And there really isn't any concession on that. I know a lot of people are looking for some kind of middle ground, like how can we go and talk to these people? And that's a vain hope in a nation that cannot save us. Okay. And there's no contract or agreement with what they're doing. And that's just the bottom line. So we have to have a proper perspective of the path that we're on and why. And I'm not saying that you guys might not know, but there may be some people that didn't know, right? And so I take the teaching direction of making sure that everybody has an understanding. And so I wanted you to see that outline right there and know what that word means. And it's interesting that prosperity of the people is tied to righteousness and justice.
The United States don't care about the prosperity of the people called the Israelites. They don't. They've never given, and rightfully so, because the United States was not constructed for the Israelites, and so they're not going to be concerned about your prosperity. The only people that should be concerned, that have been and that will be concerned about our prosperity, is us and us alone. Sarah Puppy, you didn't hear it. I'll play it again. Sister Christina, is it okay if I go back and play that word again?
Please do. I want everyone to have understanding.
Okay, go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and do that right now for you, Sarah. Here it is. It's pronounced just as how you read it. Sedekah. And it's here, it's right here. Okay, so sis, you can go ahead and direct me where you want me to go next.
Okay, if you can go to the tool where we were looking at the actual verse 16:8, and I want to break down the next word right, which is all the way at the bottom where you see Strong's Concordance number H4941. Okay, we're just going to do the same thing where people can hear it and understand where it is in biblical usage.
Okay, sis, I'm going to stop you right there. The fam said that they cannot hear, so I need to do something on my side. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm gonna set it up again. Present, share screen, and I'm going to share a entire screen, and I'm going to share system audio. Okay, I'm going to do it that way, and I need to make sure I'm sharing the right screen. Okay, I'm going to do it again, and we're going to do this word this time. I'm going to press it, and you guys put a 7 up if you could hear.
Strong's H 4941. Mishpat. Mishpat.
Okay, so if you guys heard that, please put a 7 up, and then we can go back to the other word. Sis, you'll have to remind me. I believe it was righteousness, right?
Yes.
Fam, I need you guys to put a 7 up if you can hear. We're going to listen to Righteousness, and it's pronounced Sadak, and I'm going to play it again for you.
Strong's H, 6666. Tzedakah. Tzedakah.
So it's pronounced Tzedakah. I'm going to actually go click on it again just so that we know. It's Tzedakah. Okay? So we got that one and we got the other one. Sounds like everyone's sounds coming in okay. I didn't mess it up too bad, it looked like.
You did a good job on that.
When
Right.
it's messed up, it's on me. It's not on anybody else.
Right. And so what people should notice in this instance is that, like I said, that second word is tied to the word justice, but so is that other one, right? So you have righteousness, and that's tzedakah, and then you have right. And even if you break that down in the usage, it's still, again, aligned to and tied to the word justice. So when I say that I'm pursuing justice, and I am, pursuing what's right, just, and fair, it's not viewed in the way that the world sees what's right and what's just and what's fair. So we have to be very clear when we're saying we're going to advocate, because a lot of stuff looks like you said in the beginning, you told people I'm not a part of the boule. Well, it looks like some of the things that I'm saying may seem that way, right? And because of the buzzwords that people use, you know what they are, right? And they sound the same. And so this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying that we are pursuing justice and we are establishing justice. Okay, because the wicked heathen beast system doesn't know how to do that. They're not responsible for it, and they're not the authority over it. And so I don't know if you have anything that you want to add to that before we go on to the next slide.
No, I didn't. But you just hit the nail on the head. I wanted everybody to be clear, because the boule Bobs and Bettys will sneak in unawares now, because they know that being the Israelite that's the hottest ticket on the earth right now. Being the Israelite. Because everybody know that you talk about you Israel now, and that the 1948 is not Israel, and so now you the hottest ticket, and so now if you can't beat them, you got to join them. And so I don't want nobody to think that our sister is a boule Betty.
No,
because that's not the case. Even though she knows how to move like that, which is a beautiful thing. Now we getting into something that I'm not going to speak on, but it's a beautiful thing. When you can be in Rome, do like the Romans, conquer Rome, but not be part of Rome, if you know what I mean. And I'm going to leave that there. Where you want me to go next, sis?
Well, that's how they got the Trojan horse. That's how they got the Trojan horse in.
Brother, see you talking too much. Say less.
Listen,
less.
My dad says that sometimes in war we have to camouflage ourselves, right? And so I understand that very well. You could just go back to the PDF on precedents, and I'll start talking about what is on that slide.
Okay, like I've been saying, I'm gonna step away for just one moment. I'm not gonna be gone long. Fine. I do need to step away. Fine. So tell me where you want me to be. Is it on righteousness?
Just on precedents on the next one. Okay,
so that's slide 6.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
All right. And so we talk about this word precedence, right? Like, what does this mean? And I want you guys to understand the definition of precedence. This is a word that is commonly used in law, especially when you have, decisions that are made that establish law or, reestablish, like amendments, things like that, right? So the word precedent is an earlier event or action that is regarded as an example or a guide to be considered in subsequent similar circumstances. Okay. And for those of you that are just hearing me for the first time, I told everyone last time that my area of expertise and specialty is in policy, code, legislation, law, legal action, right? And so that's the perspective that I come from. And I want you guys to also understand what is being said about you and around you, because that is the way that rules govern over the people every day everyday lives, right? And so an earlier event or action that is regarded as an example or guide to be considered in subsequent similar circumstances. Also, proceeding in time, order, or importance, and based on an earlier occurrence of something similar, right? Something done or said that may serve as an example or a rule to authorize or justify a subsequent act of the same. So when we're talking about who set the original precedence, is the Most High said, let there be, right? And in that came a natural law of being. Okay, everything that he placed in the environment is where it's supposed to be. You don't see fish flying. You don't see birds swimming. Everything was placed where it was supposed to be. And that was the original precedent. But what we see is the wickedness of, the evil precedence and wicked codification of the system that tries to turn and flip it for destruction, that turns it and flips it for our demise, right? And so when I'm talking about the system that our children are in, it's a system of codes and precedents and regulations and what was there first and who established it and what order are we following, right? And so you have to be willing to look at it and see it for what it is and how it is totally in opposition to what our law, statutes, and commandments are saying. Okay, our law, statutes, and commandments are saying. And so I don't know if we can go back to the so I have the two devices on at one time. Please forgive me for the background noise. But when we look at legal precedents, and that's going to be the next slide that's going to come up. But when we look at the understanding of how legal precedents have come into being, we look at a legal precedent as a principle or rule established in a previous legal case, relevant to a court or other tribunal when deciding subsequent cases with similar issues or facts. Okay, common law legal systems, which I told you, a lot of our common and civil laws in the U.S. came from Roman law. Okay, some of it was English law. Most of the really wicked stuff came from what Roman law. Okay, systems often view precedent as binding or persuasive, while civil law systems do not. So what, typically happens in civil types of situations is that the judges have the ability to use their discretion to make decisions, right? So when it's criminal law, you have these guidelines, minimum, maximum guidelines around sentencing that are created by Congress and all these other legislators. But when you have other things that are more of a civil nature, you have judges that are able to use their precedents to decide in those matters. And so it's good to know what's common law and what's a part of civil law. And then if we go to the next one, that is what a legal precedent means, right? Aligning the facts and the issues. We see that legal precedents are when a case's circumstances and legal requirements match those of a contemporary legal dispute, unless a party can demonstrate that it was incorrectly resolved or that it differed materially. Okay, and I'm reading from my phone, so forgive me if I skipped over a word. The precedent will typically govern the outcome of a later similar case. And so I wanted to really talk about what I said last time. Okay, we had this wicked codification, and you'll see it later come up as what was called partis sequitur ventrum. Okay, the rule that basically perpetuated slavery and legalized rape. Okay, so in 1662, you have legislatures in the Virginia colony pass a law that determined that in the matter of sex between free English men and Negro women, that the legal condition of the child shall follow that of the mother. And because the legal condition of the child in the United States started out that way, okay, I need you guys to hear me. And it continues
Stop right
that
there.
way.
Stop right there. Stop right there. Stop right there. Stop
Mhm.
right there. You need to repeat that again, please. I'm having you do duplicates just in case they missed it. Repeat that again, please.
So we're talking about partus sequitur ventrum, okay? The precedent, the original standard or rule of law that was set in the US, in Virginia colony, that said that the status of the child of the Negro woman follows that of the mom. Okay. And it allowed for the free Englishmen to do whatever they wanted to do because they looked at them as chattel property, and they utilized the Roman law that came from the rules that were established about horses and cattle.
Okay, can I ask a question now?
Sure.
These laws are still on the books, right?
Well, they say, they're nullified, right? But are they
How?
really?
How
Okay,
though?
thank you. Exactly, because everything you see in this system reflects what is in direct opposition to our nation and our kingdom, and that is that the status of the mom is more important than the dad. Okay? And so we talk about Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but they talk about the condition of the mom because the child follows the status of the mother. And we see that also in other nations that followed along with this original, what was Roman law around chattel, cows and horses. Does that answer your question?
No, it answers it perfectly. It just reminds me of, and we brought it out before on the channel, and you guys have heard it before, where that one wicked entity said that there's no laws or rights that a white man is bound to respect. And I forget
Right.
who said that. Somebody can help me in the chat. Y'all have to forgive me because I am an old head now, so I could plead forgetfulness. But at the same time, that's something that we brought out, and that brothers and sisters brought it out the last time we had this discussion. So if you know who that individual is that said that, bring that out. But no, it's almost like, okay, and this is my interpretation. It's like we have these laws that we're creating, but we also have the old laws on the books. And if we need to go back to them, we can point you back to them. So we really don't have to respect you because at the end of the day, you're just property.
Right. And in fact, the obvious annihilation and erasure of the role of the black man is included in that wicked codification.
By design.
By design. Okay. And so now the system established on that precedent can basically control the black mother and their offspring. And where do we see that at? All over. Okay. And so the question really is back at the people in the chat. Do you believe that the law was really taken off the books? Do you believe that? Or do you believe that this is a part of the codification that still exists presently that we are bound to as we live in this captivity?
Well, the sister asked a question. I'm going to ask you all to respond. Put a one up if you believe that it's been taken off the books, which they haven't taken off the books. So put a 7 up if you believe that they still have these laws enacted and they still use them today. I believe that they still use them today, and they're using them, and they're not telling us that they're in full effect. Put a 7 if you believe they're in full effect, fam, because they have to be standing on these laws to do all the wickedry and devilment that they do, and not feeling guilty is part of their DNA. But the idea that they can legally get on television and say these heinous things and commit all these heinous acts, you must be standing on some laws that existed. But you're not saying that though. See, and that's the part that we're missing.
Right. That's the part that we're missing. And so one of the scientific things, because a lot of the science, what we call phrenology and pseudosciences, existed during that time to basically justify these wicked laws, right? So when you had some people who may have been humanitarian say, no, that's not right, that's not right, the system, the system went and got and made and created doctors to come in and say, no, this is based on medical, science, right? And Dr. Cartwright, you guys can look him up, was one of those pseudoscientists that used phrenology to create runaway slave syndrome, or rascality, what he called it. Runaway slave syndrome medically was termed drapetomania. And it's really interesting to look at what is said about the slave that wanted to rebel and run away. He, in his observations, put that when they were in a really bad mood and seemed to be mourning, they would rend their garments.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow. So because you want to be free and you want to get away from all the heinous acts that's been perpetrated upon you and upon your people, there's something wrong with your mind. And yet they can't even stand being in the house for a day because of COVID. Imagine that.
You know what? I'm going to bring it up because I think that people need to see that, and I need to put it in context so that everybody can see these diseases and peculiarities that confirm their wicked codifications. And so I'm going to put that in the chat because that's the best way I can get that straight away.
Okay, you want to put it in? You want to put it in
the
private chat
comment
and let
field.
me bring it out?
Oh,
Or
I
you
put
put
it
it
in the
directly in
comment field. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Go ahead, drop it. I'll put it up. I don't got no problem.
Somebody said she just made me speak European. Well, I mean, this is what it is. These are the precedents that they established about us and our children, right? These are the precedents that they established about us and our children, and we need to know what they are so that we can be aware of the way that they are carried out today.
And I want to make a comment to up next. Up next, there's nothing about you, past, present, or future, that ever says that you boule, brother. And I look forward to meeting you at some point in this lifetime and in the next. And I shalom you and give you a brotherly hug and a brotherly dap like how we do it. There's nothing ever that says that you boule, because I could tell by your fruit, bro. Just like I could tell by this sister fruit that she done disposed of all of that, and she working on the right side, the winning team. So go ahead, sis. My bad.
Right. And I've had this argument back and forth with the boule that they do not own and control me. Right. And so, you'll see me get kicked out of places and that's okay. Because I don't need to be there anyway. But if you look up the PBS article that I put in the comment field, then we can bring that up and really like go through that, because I think that people need to see what has been said and then think about again, has it really been taken away, or is it in full effect? Did you see
put it
it
in the comments? Yeah, I don't see it.
Does anybody? Okay, let me see. I put it not in the private chat, but in the comments. Let me put it again.
Yeah, your last comment was part of Sequitur Ventrum.
Okay. Let's see. Did you see me put it in there now? No. Okay. Let me try it again. Okay. Do you see it now?
No, YouTube jiggling wires.
And they do that. And so I want people, I want people to know too, that if for whatever reason, YouTube doesn't allow me to accept comments on my page. Okay. People to know too. And so I'm not really sure what that's about. I've tried to fix it several times. It's the same reason why Facebook, restricted and shadow banned me for sharing KKK information.
About putting your comments up, sis. They put the last comment up. Okay, do it back. Try putting it in private, and I'll throw it up. Try to see if you can.
Okay, can you look up in Google? So we'll stop this right here, and this is frequent happenings. Okay. Diseases and peculiarities of the Negro race. Okay.
You know what? I'm glad that Google don't mind that you spell things wrong.
Yeah,
I'm
because it
glad that
should
they
bring
don't
your
mind. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put up on the screen diseases and peculiarities of
right
the
there,
Negro
that
race.
first one right there. Go ahead and
PBS,
click it.
right there. Okay, we there.
And so you guys probably, and if you could zoom in, brother C, because that's little.
Okay, yeah, I can't see it, so I know y'all the fan can't see it. Okay, let me know when we at a good spot, famo.
All right. And
Is that
then
good?
you're going to click on the historical document. And since we got time to go through this, let's just go through it so we understand. All right. And so here you'll see the diseases and peculiarities of the Negro race by Dr. Cartwright. And this was in a review, right? And this was also in law. Okay. This was up in law. So they, like I said, would go get their doctors and scientists to write about this kind of stuff. And so this is what you'll commonly see if you look up old arguments about things. And so drapetomania, or the disease causing Negroes to run away. Okay. It is unknown to our medical authorities, although its diagnostic symptom, that absconding from service, is well known to our planters and overseers. And noticing a disease not hereto class among the long list of maladies that man is subject to, it was necessary to have a new term to express it. The cause in the most of cases that induces the Negro to run away from service is as much a disease of the mind as in any other species of mental alienation, and much more curable as a general rule. With the advantages of proper medical advice strictly followed, this troublesome practice that many Negroes have of running away can be almost entirely prevented, although the slaves be located on the borders of a free state within a stone throw of the abolitionists. Okay. If the white man attempts to oppose the deity's will by trying to make the Negro anything else than the submissive knee bender, which the Almighty declared he should be, by trying to raise him to a level with himself, or by putting himself on an equality with the Negro, or if he abuses the power which God has given him over his fellow man by being cruel to him, or punishing him in anger, or by neglecting to protect him from the wanton abuses of his fellow servants and all others, or by denying him the usual comforts and necessaries of life, the Negro will run away. But if he keeps him in position that we learn from scriptures he was intended to occupy, that is, the position of submission, and if his master overseer be kind and gracious in his hearing towards him, without condescension, and at the same time ministers to his physical wants and protects him from abuses, the Negro is spellbound and cannot run away. I want y'all to think about what's being said right there. We give them a little bit of what they want. And guess what? The Negro is going to be spellbound and he's not going to run away. And that's why you never saw fences with barbed wire on plantations. Okay? Think about that. Did you have a guard tower? Did you see fences with barbed wire? No fences, no nothing, but yet the Negro didn't run away. And how is that a practice that we see to this date of, if we just attend to their physical wants and, protect them a little from abuses, not too much, because that's not the will of who they say the deity, right? Then the Negro will be spellbound and not run away. And so I want to pause right there, Brother C, because I know that was a lot in the first two paragraphs.
Okay. So on the first paragraph, when you was reading that, I thought of modern day, and when I think about that is that I was like, okay, so they must have a pill. You know how at late night, if you watching late night TV, you see all these pills that solve 10 elements but give you 20 more or 30
Yep.
more. That's the first thing I thought of. I'm like, okay, so this must be some sort of pill then that they may have created back then and had our people taking it, because they made up all this foolishness to keep them there, right? But
Yeah.
and then okay, so now that's the first paragraph. But the second paragraph, you know what the first thing I thought about? I
Right.
thought about the Christianity
Yes.
and the white evangelicals, because fam, this paragraph right here is what they believe today.
Yep.
They haven't gotten away from this. And so for a Christian, a so-called black Christian, to call these entities your brother, they don't look at you the same way. This is how they look at you. They look at you as a beast of the field. They don't look at you as their brother. They look at you as subhuman, that the Father has placed them over you in a perpetual servitude. This is
Now
what these
remember,
people
this was
believe.
their
Go ahead,
medical
sis.
journal. This was in their medical journal and used in arguments about the Negro race. Okay. Commonly, Dr. Cartwright has been quoted.
Look at and see. Okay, so I'm not gonna jump out the window. But here's what I
So
will say. I'm not gonna get upset. Here's what I will say, fam. This paragraph needs to be in every so-called Negro household, because you will get a clear picture of what they think about you. But sis makes a good point, and I'm gonna go to her point. My sister Notorious Hebrew makes a good point. As a man thinks, so is he. I believe that I'm above everybody on the earth. As a nation, that's what I believe. That's how come I can talk the way I talk. I
right.
think I'm talking the way I talk just by accident. No. As a man thinks, so is he. So if
And
I
what
believe I'm under you, I'm going to be under you. Go ahead, sis.
and I want to bring this around to, they said, to the Negro race. Okay. And included in that is children. So all of you that think that when your babies are born and they're so cute that they don't think of them like this, you're mistaken.
And that's funny, because it's funny how I see instances of, and I just had this conversation with my wife yesterday. I see instances of white men smacking black women, firing on them like they going straight up with a dude. I see white women and white men slap and hit so-called black children. I seen a white man the other day when they was talking about critical race theory, and it may have been in Fallbrook or somewhere, where the white man jumped in the face of a black child, was getting ready to do harm to a black
Yeah,
child.
it was in California. Yep, he was over there in Temecula, and I wrote an article about that whole instance over there in Temecula and what's going on in there. But yes, running up in the faces of our babies, because remember, part of sequitur ventrum, we can do whatever we want to our property, and your little Negro child follows the condition of the mother. Okay. And the father better not say nothing, because we've erased and annihilated them a long time ago anyway.
Yeah, and you know what? There needs to be, they owe us reparations. They owe reparations for the convict leasing program to this moment. If you paying somebody, and then they got the nerve to talk about China. If you paying somebody pennies on the dollar because they locked up, and then you making God knows who knows what off of these products, goods, and services, you are wicked as hell.
Brother C, why would they reparate convict leasing when it's still in full effect?
Exactly. But they owe for that though. You owe any brother or sister that's been locked up, and you had them working for either free, or you paying them pennies on the dollar to do a job, and then you turn around and sell them products and services for a profit. You wicked as hell. Point
So
blank, you are.
let's
Ahead,
go
sis.
on in the document, because there's more, right? That paragraph, yes, definitely take that. And so the next paragraph, according to my experience, the genuflexit, the awe and reverence must be exacted from them, or they will despise their masters, become rude and ungovernable, and run away. On Mason and Dixon's line, two classes of persons were apt to lose their Negroes. Okay. Those who made themselves too familiar with them, treating them as equals and making little or no distinction in regard to color. And on the other hand, those who treated them cruelly, denied them the common necessaries of life, neglected to protect them against the abuses of others, or frightened them by a blustering manner of approach. When about to punish them for misdemeanors, okay, before the Negroes run away, unless they are frightened or panic struck, they become sulky and dissatisfied. The cause of the sulkiness is dissatisfaction should be inquired into and removed, or they are apt to run away or fall into the Negro consumption. When sulky and dissatisfied without cause, the experience of those on the line and elsewhere was decidedly in favor of whipping them out of it as a preventative measure against absconding or other bad conduct. It was called whipping the devil out of them. Okay. If treated kindly, well fed, and clothed, with fuel enough to keep a small fire burning all night, separated into families, each family having its own house, not permitted to run about at night, to visit their neighbors, to receive visits or use intoxicating liquors, and not overworked or exposed too much to the weather, they are very easily governed, more so than any other people in the world. When all this is done, if any one or more of them at any time are inclined to raise their heads to a level with their master or overseer, humanity and their own good require that they should be punished until they fall into that submissive state which it was intended for them to occupy, and in all after time when their progenitor received the name of Canaan or submissive knee bender, they have only to be kept in that state and treated like children, with care, kindness, attention, and humanity to prevent and cure them from running away. And this is what was stated about us in medical journals. And I am asking, has anything changed?
Yeah, since I need to step away for 1 second, here's what I'm going to ask the chat room. And since you can keep going if you can without me just for 1 minute, I need to step away.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll
and
say,
then
brother Steve, why you keep stepping away? Well, I'm be honest with everybody. I'm not going total transparency. I had a loaf of bread that was proof, and so I put it in the oven when I stepped away the first time. Now I need to take it out the oven. So I'm going to go
take your
take the
breath
loaf of
out,
bread
brother.
out the oven. So I'm telling y'all exactly what's going on.
Give
So
us
that
this
y'all
day
know.
our daily bread,
Hey,
okay?
that's it. That's it. Man cannot live by bread alone.
Okay, can you just go down and I'll keep going and then we'll go back up to the top and we'll finish reading this by the time you come back. Yes, okay.
Okay, so go ahead. Is that good?
Yes. And so
Okay.
then you have this other condition, which they call dystasia Ethiopica, I don't know, or habitude of mind and obtuse sensibility of body, a disease peculiar to Negroes called by overseers rascality. So I want you guys to be thinking about this when they try to label our children, right? Is a disease peculiar to Negroes affecting both mind and body in a manner as well expressed by dystasia. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but I don't even care because it's wicked anyway. The name I have given it as could be by a single term. Now note, he said they made this name up, right? They made up these conditions to express what they felt was our condition. All right. And so there is both mind and sensibility. Both seem to be difficult to reach by impressions from without. There is a partial insensibility of the skin, and so great a habitude of the intellectual faculties as to be like a person half asleep. That is, without difficulty aroused and kept awake. It differs from every other species of mental disease. I thought that that's what he said in the other condition that he coined and phrased, right? As it is accompanied by physical signs or lesions of the body discoverable to the medical observer, which are always present and sufficient to account for the symptoms. It is much more prevalent among free Negroes. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, I ain't gonna burn, but they do need to just get out of there.
Brother C?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm. My wife says she's gonna take it out, so I'm back. I'm sorry. I thought I was on
Okay.
mute.
Thank you to your wife for sharing your time with us. I appreciate that. Please let her know we are so grateful.
Yeah, I'm saying thank you, babe.
Okay. It is much more prevalent among free Negroes living in clusters by themselves than among slaves on our plantations, and attacks only such slaves as live like free Negroes in regard to diet, drinks, exercise. It is not my purpose to treat of the complaint as it prevails among free Negroes, nearly all of whom are more or less afflicted with it, that have not got some white person to direct and take care of them. To narrate its symptoms and effect among them would be to write a history of the ruins and dilapidation of Haiti and every spot of earth they have ever had uncontrolled possession over for any length of time. I propose only to describe its symptoms among slaves. From the careless movements of the individuals affected with the complaint, they are apt to do much mischief, which appears as if intentional, but it mostly owing to the stupidness of mind and insensibility of the nerves induced by the disease. Thus, they break, waste, and destroy everything they handle, abuse horses and cattle, tear, burn, or rend their own clothing, and paying no attention to the rights of property, steal others to replace what they have destroyed. They wander about at night, and keeping in a half-nodding sleep during the day, they slight their work, cut up corn, cane, cotton, or tobacco when hoeing it, as if for pure mischief. They raise disturbances with their overseers and fellow servants without cause or motive, and seem to be insensible to pain when subjected to punishment. The fact of the existence of such a complaint, making man like an automation or senseless machine, having the above or similar symptoms, can be clearly established by the most direct and positive testimony. That it should have escaped the attention of the medical profession can only be accounted for because its attention has not been sufficiently directed to the maladies of the Negro race. Otherwise, a complaint of so common an occurrence on badly governed plantations and so universal among free Negroes or those who are not governed at all, a disease eradicated in physical lesions and having its peculiar and well-marked symptoms and its curative indications would not have escaped the notice of the profession. Talking about the medical profession, the northern physicians and people have noticed the symptoms, but not the disease from which they spring. They ignorantly attribute the symptoms to the debasing influence of slavery on the mind without considering that those who have never been in slavery or their fathers before them are the most afflicted and the latest from the slaveholding South the least. The disease is the natural offspring of Negro liberty. The liberty to be idle, to wallow in filth, and to indulge in improper foods and drinks. This came out of the medical journals. Okay. And I'm going to pause for time for reflection. And definitely I invite any comments or questions about that. But this is a part of wicked codification. The laws that we see that govern us in our children and education systems and child protective systems. We can't leave them to their own devices, and definitely don't leave them to the idea of Negro liberty. They see that as a disease. Okay.
And they believe that we're from, and see, this is something that you guys heard the phrase that's going around. You said the quiet parts out loud. This man said the quiet parts out loud. But here's the thing, fam. When did these thoughts change with your enemy? When did that change happen? Can somebody tell me when they flipped the switch? And mind you, Dr. Cartwright was more than likely a Christian. So when did the ideas and thoughts change to where, and they're saying, when, and one of the comments that they made was, that he made was, when they become equal or when they stick their head up. That comment right there was wild, because that's how come you have the idea of we could never have a Negro Messiah, or you're an uppity Negro when you start talking. And they still think this way, this, that. How dare you talk to me that way, nigger? How dare you say, and they have this attitude like, okay, You can do all the heinous acts and say everything that you say, but as soon as we say, hey, you know what? You just bashed my foot with that hammer, that hurt. Then, oh, nigger, now you uppity. What? All I'm doing is telling you, hey, stop hitting me over there. Stop hitting my foot with that hammer. I didn't say nothing about how wicked as hell as you were, because you are. That's the conversation that we're having. But the thoughts and ideas that this Dr. Cartwright had are no different than the thoughts of the heathen today. They still believe, and I'm scrolling down on this for a reason. They still believe all of this information that Dr. Cartwright said. And so I have a hard time believing why, first of all, you accept the religion of Christianity, which, name me one so-called African American seminary school that was steeped in the truth talking about Christianity, because I can tell you, and I tell you all the time, you cannot find a Christian in the book. Mashiach was not a Christian, neither was Moshe. Neither was Ezekiel, nor Joseph, nor King Solomon, nor David. So show me one Christian in the book.
And you know what, Brother C, I found it very interesting that in the observations that they made, that when we are in, distress, we would burn, rent, or tear our clothing.
What that
Well,
sound
isn't that?
like?
Yeah, thank you.
Where did you get that from? I was gonna get to that next. I was gonna get to that. And I was scrolling down, sis, on purpose, because what
Mm-hmm.
they said was they naming things that's in our DNA. You tearing
Right.
at your clothes because you trying to figure out why am I here? Why am I going through this? I'm frustrated. I want to get out of here, which is why the sharks will be following the slave ships to eat our people, because our people was like, man, I'm not doing this. I'm out of here.
Right. And
Jump overboard.
and weren't we told to rend our hearts and not our garments?
That's book.
So they're watching us try to fix our situation and calling it rascality. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when they watch your little boys in school in distress, they call them rascals and mischievous. Okay. They don't see it as they're responding to the treatment. They see it as a disease, a peculiarity of Negro boys. Okay. And let's put a label on that so that we can treat this condition, because all they need is a little bit of white training. Okay. And I want you guys to hear what I'm saying. And if we can't do it here in this classroom environment, we'll go on and put them over there at the other plantation called Juvenile Hall. Okay. And so you see this permeating throughout every aspect of life. And we think our babies are cute, but they see our babies as a threat, or they wouldn't have been feeding them the gators anyway.
That's one thing I'm always constantly throwing in their face on their evangelical channels, and they do not respond to it. Yeah, I go to white Christian evangelical channels, and I only got one phrase for them: pour for her double, 3 dots, and that's it. Sometimes I'll mention Gatorade to them, but I notice that they gloss over that.
Right.
They won't touch Gatorade. They won't, because you wicked as hell.
And
You've done all manner. Go ahead, sis. I'm sorry.
Notorious Hebrew is right. This is why there is a ban on teaching the proper history, because they don't want you to stumble upon documents like this. And it was these documents that I seen in court files and, law given to lawmakers, written to lawmakers. If you guys have ever want to do any research about what has been said, look at the letters that the presidents received. Okay. Jackie Robinson wrote a lot of them, just to let you know. I mean, there's hundreds of letters that Jackie Robinson wrote, okay? And they're in the Library of Congress. And we can see that as in past times, people trying to appeal to what they believe is the better nature of the oppressor. But if you see the oppressor, there's no better nature that you can appeal to. This is what they're showing you as their so-called better nature.
I accidentally killed the screenshot. I want to go back to this because I can't signal boost this enough, sis, and I'm gonna go back to it. I'm not going to scream and holler. I'm going to hide this and I'm going to say this. Look at what it says here. And I said it earlier. We'll go back to this. Their progenitor received the name Canaan, or submissive knee bender. Now, this is their religion talking. If you do not believe that the heathen believes that you are Canaan, they have it in writing from Dr. Cartwright. And so Dr. Cartwright could have wrote this yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
He could have wrote this tomorrow, because this is exactly how they think. And but it permeates not only their religion, it permeates everything. Everything that's in this article is the heart of the heathen.
Yes.
This is their heart speaking.
And it's
Period.
the foundation of their legal precedents and their social sciences and psychological and medical practices. If you didn't know, look it up. How pseudoscience impacted neuroscience. Okay. All right. And I
Yeah.
just want you guys to know that this is what the system is. Okay. So I wanted to take some time today. I don't know if we're going to get there because we're almost at the 3-hour mark, and I want to be respectful of you and your wife and the bread. But this is that bread smelled good from here, brother. See,
Man,
and
I tell
so
you, it's coming
the
upstairs
justice
right now.
system,
Ooh.
yes. Nature's a graffiti, yes. Everything. So that's why we say the system. Okay, and we look at the precedents that they set and established through legal means, through medical practices, through psychological practices. Every single thing leads back to these things right here. You cannot escape it. It doesn't matter how much history they try to eradicate. Okay, it's always going to lead back to what was the original foundation that was established, every single you know entity or branch of government. And here you have it right here, because they got to writing with that pen real quick when they thought that abolitionists were going to get in the way, right? And
They even
establishing these
included that,
things.
though. They included that. I'm sorry, sis. They included that phraseology in it because they said, even though you're close to the abolitionist, you want to do
Yeah,
these steps. And shout out to the two John Browns that were alive at that time. The one or two that were listening to the father to give us some equity. By no means am I aligned with John Brown and them, because I believe that our fight, we should do it on ourselves. If our family, if somebody outside of our family need to do something for our people, okay, go do it in your camp.
right, right. And you see it even permeating through housing, right? If they're well fed and well clothed, that's social welfare, right? And provided a small burning fire with a little house, they won't act up. And so every single time we ask for reform, this is the type of repression that we receive. And it always doesn't feel like or look like repression, but it is.
Since I gotta share the screen again, because every time you speak, it's like, okay, this is exact, and I keep saying the same thing. I'm sounding like a broken record, but I still got the verse highlighted. They believe that the reason why it's okay for them to do what they do, because you are this entity right here. He's your great 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 granddaddy, and you were committed to this position. Do y'all truly understand what this man was writing here? Y'all truly understand what you're reading and seeing? I believe some of you do. I believe my family in the chat do. I believe y'all do, because
Right.
I can go by your comments and what you're saying. But this is like, and this is not this it's on top of everything that we've been sharing. All other Israelite channels have been sharing also, and not just Israelite channels. I'm talking about people like Dr. Neil Lee Fuller.
Right.
I'm talking about our other ancestors, and that may or may not have been Israel, but they love your people. And see, that's the thing. If you have a love for your people, it that should supersede everything, right? There's some spaces where I go into online where I don't even identify myself as an Israelite. I just identify myself because the struggle is the same. Fam, this is how they look at you. They look at you as this. They
And
believe that this is your station in life. Go ahead, sis.
I see a statement, and I want to talk about that a little bit. I have outgrown these people a long time ago. I don't care what they think or say because I'm not of their world anymore. I'm just in it. Come out of her by any means necessary. Well, who is going to go get the children out? Okay. Like, I mean that with all due respect, right? And I don't care what they think or say about me either. But when our children are stuck in their clutches and in their grips, we this is why we're having this discussion of who's going to free the children and let children go.
And
Demand, yeah,
go ahead, go ahead and finish your comment,
demand that they
and I'll
let
comment.
our children go, because a lot of us may feel this way, but my mindset is from the perspective of who is freeing the children.
Okay, and here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say that this comment and what you're saying, sis, are not mutually exclusive or two different camps. I
Right.
believe that they are the same thing because here's why. I don't believe what they say about me or how they think about me either, Yakub.
Mm-mm.
And I know me and you are cut from the same cloth.
Yes.
Ya AQ 12 Yehuda. I believe that we're cut from the same cloth. Here's why I don't believe. Here's why I don't care about what they say is because I know I'm an Israelite and I know according to the book I'm above everybody. So that's point number one.
Right.
But point number two is the reason why I keep bringing this out is not that I care that they think this way. I want our family to know that they think this way. When they're
Yes.
looking at you, this is what they're thinking. Not that I give a damn, because I don't give a damn about them, because I know I'm tighter than them anyway on any aspect of life. I know that. That's in my DNA. That's been coded in me. And it's been coded in everybody in the chat too, whether they recognize it or not. So Yakub, Yaiq, 12, Yehuda, I hear exactly what you're saying, but
Yes.
this goes in line with exactly what the sister's saying. We shouldn't give a damn about what they think, but we should understand how they're thinking. Now you're thinking strategically if you do that. If you're able to understand where this foolishness came from, but then you're able to look like them, how you look at them and say, well, I don't give a damn about what you think. I'm still going to rock out how we rock out anyway. That's what it is. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Go ahead,
Right.
sis.
And it's almost like when you bring up the argument of gator bait, they won't respond to that because your argument is based in truth and it's unassailable. Okay. So instead of us talking about, oh, you guys don't like us and you treat us bad. No, this is the peculiarities of the Negro race that you believe in. And that becomes an unassailable argument.
Yes. Yes. And you can't. Now they try to say, well okay, so this is the point I want to make. I want to get back to this because this is important. Somebody get that precept where the father said he wrote stuff down in books. Because one of them is seal up the book until the time of the end. That's one. But when the father's judging everybody on what they did, what did he say? He said he had it written down in books. So you can say that you don't want to teach what you call CRT. And there's a major onslaught now going on. And sis, I know you can speak to this better than I do. I'm only just going off what I've read. There's a major onslaught going against our children and against our people for them teaching truth. They don't want to teach truth, and they want to take that out because they don't want to make Johnny and Sarah and little Billy and Melinda or Melissa feel bad. Meanwhile, it's okay for them to spit on our children in lunch hall and not get chastised for that. There's a major disconnect. But here's the thing, United States and Europe and the whole earth. What Psalms 83 did, you're gonna have to pay for it. You can try to erase it all you want. I'm not concerned about it. Matter of fact, I want you to erase it. Go ahead and take it out. Because guess what? The Father got the history, and that history is coded in our DNA.
What did Nehemiah say as he was traveling along and they tried to disrupt his plan? Go and look at what the king wrote on the letter. Okay. Search the annals. So we have to understand that these things do play a role, right? And they are a point of reference to make that unassailable argument because they're not deniable. Okay, go on over there and search your annals of what you said, and now let us go. because these are the practices that you're still carrying out, and we see them very clearly, right?
My brother.
And
My
so I
brother.
just
Go
want to
ahead,
make
sis.
that very clear about where I'm coming from. And I know that there's a lot of times where I'll share the data about Black children and people will become very upset. Like, why are we talking about us in such a deficient way? I'm sharing what is factual, right? And I want to be clear that that's not what I believe about us, but this is what it is in this land of captivity. And so I wanted to go into just really looking at the precedents that establish laws surrounding children and families, and the entities that are functioning to really carry this stuff out, right? Like, if you give Dr. Cartwright a whole bunch of hands and feet, you'll see that as the branches of our governing bodies, medical practices and everything else. And so you're right when you say that these things still exist, and we can talk about education code and how they govern education in each state now, or we can go into that another time. I want to leave that up to you.
You know what? It looks like we did make some progress, and the PDF that we were looking at, we got to slide what, 8?
Right.
Okay, so here's what I kind of want to do. Well, I know we're gonna have to have another show or two. I already knew that up front, and
This is a
so
lot, brother C. This is a lot.
yeah, and I'm okay with it. I'm okay if you okay. Here's
Yeah.
what we're gonna do. We're gonna scale it. We're gonna scale it back, and next week we've got a show about mental health. Sis, if you want to jump on, because I've got someone that we're gonna be interviewing. And sis, if you want to jump on that conversation, we'll send you the link, and you can be a part of the conversation, because I think that dovetails perfectly into all of this whole conversation. And then I think the following week we can get back to this, because this is important. This cut into my heart, fam. And I tell y'all all the time that I was getting hit by this like every time somebody was speaking. And so we need to not only be pledging, and I put that, I'm gonna put the sisters' information up again.
And I'm
We not
saying
only
thank you and
Go ahead,
commenting in the
sis.
chat. Sorry, brother C.
No,
I
go ahead,
am
sis.
responding to people's comments in the chat, but I don't think the tube is letting them through. So
Yeah, and you know what? They are not letting anything that you once you put up that partus, I can't forget what it
sequitur
is.
ventrum, yeah, I
Secular
usually get
venture.
blocked. Yes. So
As
that's what I
soon
need
as
to.
you put that up,
Mhm.
you none of your other information got through.
So I need the family to understand that. Like, I teach these concepts. I have videos after videos talking about this stuff on my channels, but none of them, they all get blocked. Okay. And if you go to the Wicked Heathens channel and they're teaching law and they're teaching things from their perspective, and you have all these entities that are doing that, they got thousands and thousands of people that are able to see that stuff. And my stuff gets blocked every single day because I'm sharing what is in law and practice.
I appreciate that, sis, and it's a blessing that you're here. And I'm gonna say this now: we're dealing with a powerful sister here that's putting in work, and I'm going to implore everybody that's on this chat, that's watching this video. You see the sister's information. You need to subscribe to her channel. You got her email is scrolling on the bottom too, and you also have her website. It's a crying shame that she don't have 5 million subscribers on her YouTube channel, and that she have enough money and enough people resources to do the work, because this is Israelite work right here. But even on top of that, fam, should spur you to action. Guess what, fam? We're gonna be back here in another week. That week will go by like an 8-hour day, and we're going to be back here. We're going to be providing the family with information. Go tell your family to come sit down and listen. But here's the thing: another week will pass, then you have to look in the mirror, ask yourself, what will of the Father have I done in that 7-day period? Because it's going to go by fast. Was I sitting up watching YouTubes all day and not doing anything? Or was I getting busy with what the will that the Father put in my life? Every one of y'all know this sister's a modern day Harriet Tubman for our children. Point blank, period. A modern day Harriet Tubman going in and getting our children up out of there. And it needs to be, you say, sis, you brought up 318. It needs to be 100 million of us in there doing that. Saying, no, sir, no, ma'am, you're not going to touch our children because Title X says that, Title X, Chapter 3, Section 14 says this. And this is what it is. It's
Brother
time out for
C,
not doing nothing. Go ahead, sis.
usually after I do appeals like this, and I've done them very frequently, and this is the honest truth, and I'll say I need 20 people to show up with me to go over here where our kids are getting spit on, and I get one person, and I said, that's okay, because we go with the Most High. But that's the reality. And so that's why I break things down in this way, so that everybody is clear about everything that's happening and cannot say they didn't know.
Sharon O, the men, let's look at this comment, sis. Sharon O says the men should step up and help. The men should be on the front line. Man, now I'm not going to say that, man. I'm going to do like I always do. Brother C should be on the front line. Point blank, period. Is you on the front line, you out there street teaching. You out there on the front line on YouTube saying this, that, and the third. Brother C, you should be on the front line. Brother C, you should be pledging. Brother C, you should be supporting. Brother C, you should be an advocate. Brother C, you should know how to quote these quotes so that you can stand up for your people. Where you at, Brother C? So see, Sharon O, see, this is what I do. I like to make it personal because it's not about me getting on YouTube bumping my gums. That's the last thing that it's about. You know what it's about? It's about us doing things. I say that to y'all all the time. Y'all, this ain't new to y'all. It's about you building something. The sister done built the framework. Done been in the fire. It's all of us men should be in the fire. Period. Strong men represent. That's right. No limp wrist. No talk about you metrosexual. None of that. Time out for playing games. So y'all in the chat need to get active. Go ahead, sis.
Look, when I started, I said I'm coming for the Reubenites and the half tribe of Manasseh. Let's go, Gadites, and let's go. Okay, and I hope that people understood that means mighty men of valor, strong in battle, very skilled in warfare. Okay, and I believe that we have them here, right? And so it's all a part of this whole understanding and lamentation with me about our children's condition. And I'm going to keep on going on. As a matter of fact, I got to go back to Sacramento this week. And so, we just continue to pursue. And David asked, should I pursue? Should I go after these bandits? And the Most High said, yes, surely you will recover everything. And I believe that.
That's right. I believe that too, sis. Just like I believe the Father has called all of us. The Father hasn't just called your brother C. He ain't just called Yash. He ain't just called Phantom Warrior. He ain't just called Nature's Graffiti. He ain't just called Eric Tinsley. He ain't just called Sharon O. He ain't just called Pam. He ain't just called Elmore McPherson. He ain't just called Christine Laster. He ain't just called Nature's Graffiti. He ain't just called Yair Carol 12 Yehuda. He ain't just called Pam. He ain't just called Angie 123. He ain't just called Cheryl Wood. He ain't just called Joy. He ain't just called Mr. The Original School. He ain't just called all y'all to chat. He ain't just called y'all just because he called you. He called you for something, Cindy Clark. He called you for something. What did he call you for? His sister doing the will that the Father done gave her. The Father put that love in her for her people. And he gave her the instructions. And she out there doing it. What say you, sir or ma'am? What say you? I know Israel's getting sharper and sharper by the day. I see y'all. I know. I know when I say the dry bones are coming together, I see them. I know they coming together. Without a shadow of a doubt. We getting better. Now we got to put it to action. Stop bumping your gums. Go do it. This sister out there doing it. And that's what we got to be. So sis, I'm going to give you the last words and we're going to sign off. And like I said, we're not gonna do it this weekend because we're gonna do the thing on the medical profession. And I would like to have you on that show if you don't mind, if you're not busy, if you're not flying to some far-flung enterprise saving our people.
No, I appreciate that, and I appreciate the call. Sometimes there's like just not enough time in the day to do what it is that my heart has set out to do. And so I'm appreciative of all of the people that are offering their time as a resource. When I was in New York, I couldn't be in Chicago at the same time, and so I had to send basically a statement in writing of what I really wanted to be there to address the use of these bad sciences that they are rolling out in testing. But I couldn't be at both, right? And so that's where it's important to have people there, because trust and believe, usually I'm the only ones that look like us and speak like us and talking about our children in those platforms, right? And that's a scary thought, because those are the decision makers and the law enforcers and the, people that know how to pencil whip us, So that being said, I want to encourage everyone against fear. Really looking at the fact that if we are afraid, we need to pray about that. There are situations where I might get a little nervous, and I'll just say, may the Ruach HaKodesh speak through me, because I might not have the words, but I know that the Most High has a proclamation that needs to be heard. And as long as I'm willing to do that, I know that the Most High will meet us. And so fear not, for he is with us. Be thou not dismayed, for he is our Elohim. He will uphold us by his righteous right hand. And that is what I would like to leave with.
And this has been another Salt of the Earth production. And you know what? Y'all always ask the question, what you gonna be saved from? And who gonna be saved? But you, Israel, you need to get saved.